Hello, everyone. This is Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Welcome once again to the broadcast, and thank you all for tuning in. Today, I will be interviewing Mr. David McWater. So you all give me a minute while he chimes in. I dropped the link, so I'm just waiting for him to join the broadcast. I'm not going to get too in depth until he's on board. So I appreciate it that everybody share the content. And I truly am grateful for all of you true supporters, the hardcore fans, and the ones that's going to be tuned in. Please drop your comments in the live chat, and I will try my best to get to them during the interview or near the end of the interview. Thank you. Shout out Perky, what's good? Lion Killer in the building, salute to you. What's good? What's good, man? Just waiting on Mr. McWaters to get in the building, and we can jumpstart this. Taurus Savage is in the building. Salute to you. It's a special connection. I've been knowing David for over a year. We're not friends or anything, but I know him. I actually knew him from attending the fight card. And without giving away all the story to the introduction, I have mad respect for the guy. Astute businessman, successful entrepreneur, and the top boxing manager in the sport today. So once we get into the groove, and you're gonna find out a lot about him. You know, you're gonna be impressed, absolutely, as to who he has under his tutelage, and you know, his prior business ventures before he even transitioned over to the sport of boxing. You can't even write a script to this. It's just an amazing story. Miguel Sanchez in the building. Salute to you, man. Y'all like bow ties, man. Especially at my age. I like bow ties. They're easy to put on and they be done over. Easy work. For those of you that's tuned in, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, share the content, be professional. You know, save everything else to another day. And those of you that have wrench, matter of fact, I meant to do this. There you go, Lion Killer. I forgot to hit you yesterday when you was in here, give you a wrench, man. But there you go. I appreciate that, Perky. Appreciate that. So I'm just waiting on David to come on deck. He may be on time, he may not. That's a busy man. He has a lot of fighters under his tutelage, which we're going to get into today. So y'all just be patient. Y'all starting off early, man. Y'all starting off early. But hopefully everybody's doing great. I'm just waiting for this interview. It's going to be interesting, man. It's a lot behind the backstory to Mr. McWater. So being he's a busy person, of course. I'm trying to wait till he get on deck so we can kick this off. And yes, I had to dress up for the occasion because that's what it is. He was one of the first ones to give me press credentials at Top Rank. period. Very great guy. Without any, earlier submission. This was the same. I mean, the entire experience that I had with Top Rank was the best I ever had covering the boxing itself. The media experience I had over there, I had the opportunity to cover Teofimo Lopez when he was fighting Diego Magdaleno. I mean, I had exclusive access. I mean, it was professional all the way from start to finish. And, I had to show respect. I had to show respect because not one time was he standoffish, unapproachable. Man, he was just a good person. You know what I'm saying? So, not to mention, lunch twice. And he's one of the big dogs in boxing. And it was a grand time, man. It taught me a lot. I was able to see how certain things work behind the scenes with boxing media and boxing in general. So in one day, I learned a heck of a lot. It wasn't stressful, none of that. And you're talking about driving 12 hours up to Texas, for that. So, yeah, I'm appreciative. I know how to be professional. And that's the way it's supposed to be, people. Denise Ward in the building. How you doing? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in. For sure. You know how it is when it's business. They get in where they can get in. Real talk. So I will see if he comes in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Yes, he is, Perky. Tyson Fury is indeed Top Rank, and Top Rank did an outstanding job. Without getting too far into the broadcast, man, I'm going to speak on that dual promotion that happened with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I'm definitely going to touch on that. Homie Garza, what is good, man? It's been a minute. What's been good with you, man? You know what it is, man. Elite Access Boxing, right? All access elite boxing. Hey, put your brand out there, honey. It's been a minute. I believe it's All Access Elite or All Elite Access Boxing. Okay, y'all stand by. I'm about to bring him in. And once again, be professional. And Wrenches, I appreciate your work. Hello, everyone. This is Scotty White of World Combat Sports. I have distinct pleasure speaking to the one and only Mr. David McWater. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, thanks for granting me this interview, first and foremost. It's been over a year since I've seen you. I always wanted to tell you thank you for the hospitality and providing me my first boxing credential and being able to cover Top Rank, in Frisco, Texas that weekend and see Teofimo defeat Diego Magdaleno.
No problem. I was happy to help. It's great to see people that are enthused about boxing.
Hey, David, let's get right back. Let's get right into your backstory. You've been an amazing genius at, being an entrepreneur, successful businessman. How did you kind of get into the sport of boxing when you don't have any background to boxing? I know you did a lot of professional positions, but talk about the backstory leading up to transferring over to boxing.
Well, I did box a little bit as a kid. Okay. So I didn't have any. No experience. But what really got me into it in the 90s, I met Don Elbaum, who had been a promoter, manager, been everything in boxing for years. And I did some stuff with Don, and I went to a lot of his shows, and I kind of learned a lot about what he did and how to go about this. And I had was an agent for basketball players before, so I had a good idea how to do it. And even the political stuff I did was really representing people who don't necessarily have a lot of options. So because my neighborhood was that I represented was underprivileged, and so it was a pretty easy transition. I mean,
you're the CEO and the founder of Split T Promotions, but Split T
Management. Split T Management, no promoting.
Split T Management, not promotion. Split T Management. It has nothing to do with boxing, the Split T portion. Can you explain where you got Split T from?
The Split T is the offense that Bud Wilkinson used at the University of Oklahoma to make us a football power. Almost every company I own has some allusion to Oklahoma football in the name.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they appreciate you showing love and homage.
Yeah, those are my boys, Oklahoma football.
Talk about the business. I know you was on the community board. You was reelected like 4 terms, and then you decided to step down or what have you. Was that the moment when you decided to take on boxing management full time?
No. I was on the community board for 14 or 15 years. I stepped down. I was going to retire, and I wasn't very good at being retired, and that's when I decided to go into boxing. Was after I was a failure at being retired. I didn't really do anything of value at all.
So let me ask you this. Who was the first boxer that you was able to sign once you decided to be a manager?
Leander White.
Okay, he's still there, right?
No, Leander's been injured and he'll never fight again. He was probably already injured when I signed him. Nobody knew it, including him. But he got diagnosed pretty quick, and he'll never fight again. But the second boxer I signed was Antonio Nieves, so we took to a world title.
Yeah, I just seen the fight with him and Joshua Greer Jr. That was a good fight.
It was a great fight. If he'd just been a couple of years younger, I think we'd have won that fight. I felt like we won it anyway, but Antonio's such a special kid. I mean, he's been a big part of my boxing life, and it's just, of all the clients I've had, and they're all special in their own ways, I actually think Antonio is the hardest working.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Speaking of fighters that you have on your watch, in your cash, you have IBF lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez, of course. You have fighters like Ivan the Beast,
who also might be the hardest worker, the Beast.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
If it's not Nieves, it's the Beast.
Yeah. You have him. You had Charles Conwell, Abraham Nova. You have even the female champion, Raquel Miller.
Raquel Miller, who's an amazing person. I don't know if you guys follow the Beast on Instagram out there, but you should. It's hilarious, the stuff he does. And the other day he had a video of him working out he has a terrace he has a high floor apartment, and he's doing push-ups with the couch from the terrace on his back. So he's doing something every day, and is also one of the hardest working kids I've ever been involved with.
How do you assess the situation that went on with you and that fighter at the WBSS? Because he ended up losing his IBF title, and he's a junior welterweight. So I know you all pulled out initially, and then somehow you was back in. What was that process like?
Well, that process was like they took us to court. It was a lot of politics. There was a lot of legal stuff going on with that. We finally made a settlement with him. Where they gave him extra money to make up for what they had done wrong, but we had to continue to be in the tournament, which was, a bummer. I think he beats Josh Taylor if they can fight in America. And not because the judges were bad. The judges were totally fair over there. Judges in the UK, I think, are actually really fair. It's just the travel and everything takes so much out of you. It's just different. I mean, you go all the way over to another country. I mean, I think we saw, 90% of the beast, and you saw 100% of Taylor. If you fight in New York and it's 90% of Taylor and 100% of the beast, I think we win that every time. Which is no knock on Taylor. He's a great fighter, but deep down, I think I like the beast more. I'd rather have him, and he's younger. The beast was the youngest guy in that tournament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he'll be around a long time,
He has another fight scheduled for this year, right? At the end of the year?
He did. He had, the Beast was supposed to fight May 14th on the undercard of Prograis, and who was Prograis fighting? They got canceled.
Maurice Hooker.
Yeah, Prograis Hooker. We were going to fight somebody. I can't even remember who now. But we were supposed to be on that card. And, of course, coronavirus just KO'd it. But, yeah, we expect him to be back and back strong. One thing's for sure, some guys are going to come out of this in good shape and some guys aren't. Ivan the Beast Barancik will be in shape. There's no doubt about that. So I expect him to get a fast start when boxing is back up.
And that sounds good there, David. I want to talk to you about Teofimo Lopez, Vasily Lomachenko. I know the fight was scheduled to take place mid-year. And there's been some scuttlebutt in the media about, I guess Aegis, the manager of Vasily Lomachenko, he's not on board with the location over there in NYC. There's been some back and forth debate between, you all and the team of Vasily Lomachenko. Are we still going to see that fight, or is it off for now?
I have no idea. I mean, nobody knows how long we're going to be in here. Nobody knows, what's going to happen. I honestly don't know. We would love to see it. Aegis had done some posturing about the location, but, he's a great manager and a fair guy and, smart. I mean, I think he was happy to have it in New York because that's where that fight belonged and that's where all the money was.
Yeah.
And of course we wanted it in New York, but we were willing to fight him elsewhere. For a while there was talk of Saudi Arabia. We were willing to do that. There was no acrimonious negotiating because there really was no negotiating at all. Top Rank was working to try to put all the pieces together, and then coronavirus hit, and that was it. But I wouldn't expect any acrimonious negotiating anyway. I mean, the Top Rank people are really professional, and so is Aegis. I think they want to fight. Top Rank wants to fight. Lomachenko wants to fight. You can damn sure bet Gordo Teofimo wants to fight. So, I think it'll happen. It may be 6 months from now, though. It may be on Heisman night or something. Which has been a good night for us. We like Heisman night.
Let me ask you this, David.
Menard on Heisman night, and he fought. What's his name? He just won for the title. This is what happens when you get old. You can't think of anybody's name. Who did I just beat for the title?
Richard Comey? What?
Yeah, Richard Comey. We knocked out Menard on Heisman night. And we knocked out Comey on Heisman night. So we love Heisman night.
So speaking of Heisman night there, David, if by chance Teofimo goes in there and defeats Vasily Lomachenko, will y'all hang around the lightweight division for the WBC and potentially fight for that title before moving up to 140?
I think we will have the WBC title in there.
Okay.
There's a lot of. I think when we fight Lomachenko, it'll be for all 4 titles. So we'll see what happens with that. But if it's not for all 4 titles, no, we are not hanging around to fight for it. Because what we're excited about doing is trying to unify 140 also, which is a lot easier now because two guys with Top Rank have all those belts. You know, you got Taylor with half of them and Ramirez with half of them. And, you know, so if they could fight and then we fight the winner, that would be a wonderful thing.
So just to be clear, Devin Haney isn't the WBC super title holder right now.
Well, you'd have to ask Maurice Sullivan on that. But he's in recess.
What is recess there, David? I don't know what recess is, man.
Well, I
never heard of it.
It's a new thing. I mean, it's not new, but my opinion is if Lomachenko and Lopez fight, there'll be a WBC world title there. I think.
Okay, that's good news to hear. I appreciate that. That's good news to hear. I wanted to ask you on a more serious note there, David. Your fighter Charles Conwell, right? You know he stepped in there against Patrick Day on that night, and he ended up stopping him in the 10th round. And unfortunately, in all his blessings, Patrick Day wasn't able to recover. What did you say to Charles Conwell? What was his spirit like, you know, as a fighter, making a living, going in there, doing what he's supposed to do, but unfortunately, his opponent ended up sacrificing, you know, losing his life from the sport he loved.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, that's the worst moment for everybody. I mean, I'd hoped I'd go through my whole career and never be involved with anything like that. And, you know, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that it happened of all people to Charles, who's just, you know, a sensitive, kind person who cares about others. You know, he's a special kid. So, you know, what did I say to him? It's hard to tell. I mean, you know, we tried to tell him, first of all, that it's not all his fault. I mean, I don't know that it's anybody's fault. I mean, you know, the fight should have been stopped earlier, but, you know, also Day had been sparring with McWater for weeks on end before that. He had a bad beating to Carlos Adames in the last fight out, maybe needed more time off.
Yeah,
and I'm not blaming his people for this either. I'm just saying, like, you know, everybody, there was a lot of things. It was a perfect storm. A lot of things happened that created this thing. And so, you know, I kind of just want Charles to know it's not all on you, you know. Tony Holden was there that night, and he thought in the 4th round there was something wrong with Patrick. And was telling everybody there's something wrong with Patrick. So, you know, I mostly just told him to keep his head up, and, you know, but he's a special kid, Charles Conwell. I mean, you won't meet many like him. He's this really special kid.
Yeah, prayers go out to both, you know, Patrick Day and Charles Conwell, because both of them was in the ring together on that night. And I know he's never going to forget about it. And then your colleague, your compeer, who's also a manager, Igis Clemens, he had Maxim Dadashev, you know, pass away. That was one of his.
We were there that night. Teofimo fought the Japanese kid that night. We were the main event that night when Dadashev died. Yeah, it's a lot of bad luck this year. But I do think one thing people have to realize, fighters get hurt in competitive fights. You know, you have a lot of commissioners, they're like, oh, I don't want to do this fight because I think this guy will win easy. I never seen anybody get really bad hurt in a 1-round knockout. You know, guys get hurt when they got too much heart for their own good. You know, like Dadashev and Day and these guys. I mean, these were great fighters who all had a lot of heart and got in a bad situation, probably were hurt even more than, you know, anything else, and you know, hurt early and kept fighting. And, you know, so I mean, you go back to you know, when this happened to Boom Boom Mancini, or when it happened to anybody, it didn't happen in blowouts. They happened in competitive fights. So, you know, I think more than commissioners worrying about this stuff, it's the referees that need to worry about it. You know, and there are fights all the time. I mean, Magdaleno, I was screaming at the, you know, you brought that up in Frisco. I was screaming at the ref to stop that fight at one point.
Yeah,
not because I wanted Teofimo to win. He was going to win.
Yeah.
Because I really felt like he was going to hurt Magdaleno irreparably, and Magdaleno, who's just a total class fighter, was never going to just give up.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. I'm surprised he ever went down. I mean, that kid's as tough as any human being alive. So, I think the refs just have to be a little more. And I think there are some refs, and I'm not laying it all on refs, but I think there are some refs that kind of are rooting for different people or maybe types of people, and so they don't stop a fight quick enough, and that's something you have to be wary about. But I think the trainers get it. Buddy McGirt's next time a guy got in trouble, Buddy stopped it quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody questioned him on it, and he said, "Hey, you let that happen to you, and see if you don't stop a fight quick." So I'm with Buddy on that.
Well, my apologies. I just had to ask the question there, David, because what better person to ask? Because you was there that night on both nights, and I really wanted to hear from on your perspective. Moving on, the COVID-19 crisis in boxing and everything else is going along with it. How are the boxers surviving out here? What is the process for them to thrive in such a dark situation where they're unable to support themselves? It's no fight card schedule. It's no TBA for this to be lifted. As a manager, how are you able to somewhat speak with them, provide them any type of advice?
Well, we talk to our guys as much as humanly possible. And of course, I have a huge staff, so they talk to them a lot also. But we have most of our guys we've tried to get on unemployment. For the first time, the CARES Act is allowing independent contractors to get unemployment.
Yeah.
Brian Cohen from my office and Brendan Stagalis have done a ton of work on that and have really done a good job. Unfortunately, most of the promoters have not given them any advances. The only one that has given advances that I know of is Ludabella. But we're doing what we can for them. It's a difficult time though for anybody. But with the new unemployment, with this extra $600 a week from the feds, could be great. Assuming the government really comes through. I mean, it's hard to believe anything this government tells you, but
yeah.
Assuming it's true, it'll be a good thing. I mean, some of these guys will be getting $975 a week during this time, which would be nice.
David, All Access Elite Boxing asks, is it true or does it have any merit to Bob Arum potentially selling Top Rank Promotions?
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, everybody knows Top Rank's definitely for sale. Does that mean he'll sell it? I don't know. But, Bob's 89, 88. I think he's got a right to look around and see what his life work is worth. I don't think that it'll necessarily change anything over there. I mean, one of the things you have to realize about Top Rank, they're an all-star team. I mean, they've got lifelong people like Pete Susans has been in boxing his entire life. He does the travel. There's nobody there that couldn't do any job for another boxing company. They got the best matchmakers. They got the best, the best everything. So, nobody's buying that company unless those people go with it. And so they will. And, they got the best TV contract. They got the best everything. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I think everybody knows Top Rank is definitely for sale.
Do you think NYC, because that's your footprint, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that will be the last nesting bed, the Mecca of boxing to open up once these bans are lifted due to the high rate of casualties that's been going on from the COVID-19 over there? Do you think y'all will be the last one?
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, look, promoters don't want to come to New York unless it's a really big fight anyway, because our insurance costs are so much more and the taxes are so much higher. So, you're not going to get any fight here that's not a big one anyway. But yeah, it could easily be the last one. I mean, we've had it bad. Although, I think it's going to hit the Midwest and everything and the South a lot worse than it has now. especially now that you got these nitwits out there, that Trump's urging on to protest. And
Yeah.
I mean, those people are locked to get it. I mean, I don't know how they think they're not going to get it doing that shit. So, I think it's going to be bad in these places because they're not taking it seriously. I mean, New York took it seriously, and you still see what happened. Now, of course, it hit us first because we're an international city.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to tell me that it wasn't in Mississippi yet because their governor's better than ours. I'm like, no, it's not in Mississippi because nobody from internationally wants to go to fucking Mississippi. Who would go to Mississippi?
You got that right. Yeah.
I mean, the only way you're getting me to Mississippi is with a subpoena. And so, but everybody comes here. My sister-in-law got it because she was working with a bunch of models who just got off the plane from Milan. And some of them had it. So, I mean, people are going to get it out west. So they may have it long after New York is flattened out. It may be. And it's bad right now in some of these places. Nebraska's bad. Tennessee's bad. Kentucky. No, not Kentucky. Tennessee, Nebraska. The South Dakota, I think, is having a lot of problems now, I've heard. So, it's going to be bad. If they don't have testing, it's going to be bad, period. Without testing, you can't isolate people.
From the chat there, David, Ohio Run Boxing, ask about, Charles Conwell brother, Isaiah Steen. Do you know anything about Charles Conwell brother, and will he be potentially somebody that you sign in the future?
Oh, he has been. Charles Conwell's brother, Isaiah Steen, has been with us since the beginning of his career.
Okay.
He's a great fighter. I think he's 15-0 now. He's promoted by Luda Bella and Tony Holden. And he was right on the cusp of having his first TV fight. He was going to fight one last time off TV April 10th on that Showtime card that a bunch of my guys were on with Tony Holden. And then we thought in June or July, he was going to come back and maybe be on a Showbox TV portion. But of course, all those shows have been canceled. But he's there. I mean, he's a special kid. He's lived in his brother's shadow, but he can fight. I mean, he can really fight. He's big, tall, but got power, understands. He's very well coached. Otha Jones coaches him also. And so, he's very well coached. He's in incredible shape. All those guys that come out of Soul City with Otha and them are in tip-top shape. So, yeah, I mean, we've had him since the beginning, and we expect big things from him.
When should we see Raquel Miller back in the ring? I know she's in a tough division, being that Carissa Shield holds the WBA and WBO, and she's due to face Dakari. I think that's her name, the IBF champion, as welterweight. Do you see a potential showdown between Miller and Shields or not?
Oh yeah, that's coming someday. It's just it depends on when. We would like to make our own footprint first. I mean, I feel like of all of the people that fight Clarissa, Raquel will be the best. I mean, they had split decisions in the amateurs. I mean, it's a little bit like I always say, it's like Venus and Serena Williams. If Serena Williams had never existed, her sister would be the greatest female tennis player ever, right? I mean, people forget how awesome Venus was when she came on the stage, and then Serena shows up a couple years later and just blows by her. Well, that's sort of the Raquel Miller story. She lost close fights on the Olympic trials to Clarissa, and then Clarissa went and dominated in the Olympics and won all those golds. So, I mean, I think it's fair to believe that if Clarissa Shields had never been born, Raquel Miller might be walking around with 2 gold medals right now. So, I think it's going to be a great fight, and I think it's going to happen. I mean, they're eager to have it happen. We've wanted to establish our own brand a little bit more because, women's boxing is underreported. It's under everything. I mean, underpaid, underreported. And so we felt like for it to be a super fight, you can't be like, oh, well, they were close in the amateurs. She had to establish herself as a big time pro fighter first. So that's what we were trying to do. And she was supposed to fight 2 weeks from now, in a fight that's canceled, obviously. Yeah. But she'll be back, and she's a very special person, Raquel Miller. One of the things I've learned in boxing, not all these guys are educated, but it is by far the highest IQ sport athlete I've been involved with. Not even close. I mean, I don't represent a dumb boxer. Some of them are educated, but none of them are dumb. And it's human chess, and these guys are really smart. And she might be the smartest that I have. I mean, she's, there's 10 of them I could say that about, but Raquel is extremely intelligent. And I've learned, it's like Tyson Fury. I mean, on one hand, everybody was like, oh, Wilder's going to blow him out. And even I thought that. But, looking at it, I'm like, always bet on the smarter guy. And, I think Fury is the smarter guy there. And clearly, he had a brilliant fight plan. So Raquel's like that. And, never count out the smarter person.
And I want to commend Top Rank for the dual promotion that you all was able to put on at the MGM Grand with PBC. I was getting all the press release, in my inbox and everything. And is that something that Top Rank is going to try to continue to co-promote?
I don't know. I mean, I don't, we have a lot of clients with Top Rank, but I don't work, directly with them. I mean, I work directly with them, but not for them. But although we have, I think, 13 people with Top Rank. But I think they've always had a commitment, both them and ESPN, to putting on the best fights no matter what. I think it's the other side that is at times not wanted that to happen. But I think if there's a fight to be made, Bob Arum will make it.
Understood. You hosting in your stable 50 plus fighters right now, right?
Yes.
So is there, I want to talk about that because your analytical process is to be commended and saluted. Your analytical process is that you believe in going to the nationals and going to the bottom floor to scout these fighters. So kind of explain your analytics as far as what your process is when it comes to boxing. Well,
so if you know about sabermetrics in baseball, what people call Moneyball now after the movie, the idea, and it's revolutionized baseball. It was ridiculed when it started in the 80s, and now every team is run by mathematicians, basically. But the idea was that you had all these stats in baseball, and that you could use it to figure out how to run your team better. And when it happened, the old guard didn't like it because, old guards aren't supposed to like things. You're the barbarians at the gate. And so there was a lot of friction. And I felt like the analysts disregarded the old guy's knowledge too quickly, right? Just because they were wrong about some things doesn't mean they were wrong about everything. Those guys had a wealth of knowledge. So when I came into boxing, one of the things that attracted me was nobody had ever done any analytics. So I spent a year or two before I actually got in doing massive analytics. I made databases that nobody else had and ran regression analysis on all kinds of stuff and tried to find out what was predictive of future success. But then I also remembered the lessons of the past. And so, I wanted to make sure that I visually watched these guys and that I had people on my staff who were good at them, at watching guys. And so, it's not just me at a lot of these tournaments now. Tim Van Nieuwhouse is at a lot of them. Otha Jones, who works with us some, is at a lot of them. Brian Cohen. And we've also got people on staff like Joe Quiambo, who's been in boxing 35 years since he was a boy. So we have a little army. Ron Rizzo just joined us, who's been in boxing forever. So, we spent a lot of time managing these guys. And we also, part of the reason for going is to sort of vet these guys personally. For one thing, I'm too old to represent people I don't like. I want to represent people that I like and that I enjoy being around. But I found in my studies, that the things that really stopped a guy from making it that should make it, when you find a guy that didn't make it, it's either bad management, bad promoter, bad trainer, trouble with the law, or drugs and alcohol, and or injury is the last one. So, I can stop bad manager by being a good manager. I can stop bad promoter by putting them with a good promoter. I can stop bad trainer by trying to help them, find a good trainer if they don't have one already. But also I can stop it by trying to sign guys that have good trainers already.
Yeah.
So now all I got to worry about is going to jail and injury. And if I vet these guys, if I meet them at the tournaments and can look in their eyes and see what kind of person they are, I have a pretty good feeling whether or not they'll get in trouble. And it doesn't mean I'm always right. Some guys get in trouble. But part of that's because, America still arrests people just for being black. But I don't have any bad kids. All my guys are good guys. And so, all we have to worry about now is injury. And so I feel like I've cut, 5, 6, which is 83% of the ways that I can fail. I've cut them out by doing that extra homework.
Amazing. That's an amazing breakdown. I always want to know, how did you make that applicable to your success as one of the top boxing managers in the sport? That's amazing sequence that you have. It's work for your businesses that you have going on. Hopefully, you're not hit hard for the COVID-19, because you do have a lot that's going on.
I'm hit pretty hard.
Oh, you hit pretty hard?
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it, but I'll leave that alone, David. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's been eye-opening. But we'll survive, and we've kept like all the boxing guys are still on payroll. You know what I mean? We're trying to do the right thing by everybody, but it's been it's been illuminating. We've lost a lot of money, but it's just money. It's not nearly as important as people's lives.
Within that analytics, David, I want to ask you a serious question. Like, what is something that can be changed for the sport of boxing? So when boxers hit a moment like this, that economically they have no other options, what is something that you would think about, trying to help these fighters out? Somewhat like a union, somewhat like I don't know, what could be a plan to help these fighters out?
It's going to be a younger man than me that does it. I'm too old to start the union now, but they definitely need a union. Now, the problem is, it's also, for all of the power of the sport, it's also a fragile sport economically. So it's not going to be like the NFL union right away. So it's going to be a different thing. But right now, every boxer in America is an independent contractor, and
okay.
I don't know. There seems something wrong to me about that. These guys get their own health care. They get their own everything. And, even when you sign a promotional contract, you're still an independent contractor. That would be the number one thing I tried to change. Obviously, people with jobs like mine should be licensed by some kind of national group that vets these people. Right now, you can just walk up and become a manager. You probably don't have to be licensed anywhere to be one. In theory, you should be licensed everywhere your guys fight, and that's what we do. But you probably don't have to. You can probably get away with not doing it. I'm sure plenty of people do. But, there should be some kind of vetting. And, there are managers out there that tell these kids everything. I joke that I should be the worst recruiter in the world, because I spend half my time telling kids that all the great stuff they've heard isn't true. I'm like, no, you're not going to make 500,000 the first year. You're going to make 35,000 or 40,000 the first year, and you're not, and it's a downer for guys to hear that. But for me, starting a 5-year relationship with somebody by lying to them is going to be counterproductive. And most of these guys that do lie to these kids and then sign them, they do have counterproductive relationships. It doesn't work out. So we make a habit of not doing that, and most of the responsible managers don't do stuff like that. There's only a couple of them out there, but it's those are the two big things. They should have jobs. They shouldn't be independent contractors, in my opinion, and their management and financial people should be vetted by some kind of union also.
That's good.
And should be cast out when they do something wrong. Or suspended or something. When you have a guy, there's no rules.
Mm-hmm.
You're living by your own ethics, and that's just not the way it should be. There should be some oversight.
So you believe it should be some type of health care, even if they sign a contract, it should be some type of health care in there.
Yeah, and it's just such a pyramid, the game. Kids think, I hear kids all the time, like, at 16, I got to turn pro so I can feed my family. Well, you're not going to feed your family at 16 boxing. You'll be lucky that first year to make 30, 35,000. You're certainly not feeding a family, and you might make, there's plenty of kids that turn pro young like that and don't get a deal and end up making 8,000 and selling tickets to do that. They're basically getting paid to sell tickets, not to fight. So, we tell all these kids, and I've taken guys pro young because they gave me no other choice, but we tell all of them, go to high school, finish high school, try to win a national elite tournament. Don't just win junior tournaments. I also think for your mental health, it's important to graduate high school and, go to your prom, do stuff like that. When Conwell was on the Olympic team, we told Team USA, because they had him out there training for the Olympics during his graduation and his prom. And I said, no, he's going to go to both. And he did. We flew him home, and he went to his prom and he went to his graduation. And I think that's important, because you don't want to see these guys, I knew a lot of child actors in New York City. And you don't want to have one of our kids end up like that, where he's 25 and, got whiskey and barbiturates by his bed and is like, what happened to my childhood? So, I want these guys to have somewhat normal lives. But the idea that, you're going to walk out at 16 and 17 and just make a ton of money that first year is not true. It's just not true.
Well, that's a good word. I know a lot of fighters would definitely enjoy that platform to become professional fighters before they leave high school. It's a rare occasion, but there are some that's out there.
Oh, there's lots of. It's a fad now, but it's very risky. And I did a study on this too, and I took guys that in my amateur system ratings over a 20 year period. I think it was 1985 to 2005. We took guys who at 17 were match sets, meaning they had the same rating and were in the same weight class at 17. Mm-hmm. And then we divided them all up by the age they turned pro, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever, right? And 19 to 21 did the best. 18-year-olds did about 88%. 17-year-olds did like 75%. And then the over 21s, it started to go back down also. And I think, the over 21s, part of that's natural selection. There's a reason why nobody signed him, right? And that's why they were still hanging around. And so, of course, they weren't as good at pros. But I think the young guys just turned pro too soon. And I think besides the other problems I mentioned with that, a big problem with turning pro too soon, you're going to find a bunch of chumps for a couple of years. Not chumps, but, guys that have no chance of beating you. Or at a time when your mind is most fertile and you're most able to learn. Or you could stay amateur those 2 years, and at any tournament, you could fight 5 or 6 guys who will be in the mix for world titles in a few years. There will be good pros. An amateur, one of our guys, Teofimo Lopez, in his last 2015, before the Olympic year, he fought and won Golden Gloves, where he fought 5 top flight guys. He fought and won the Olympic qualifier in Colorado, where he fought 5 guys. Gennaro Gomez, he beat in the finals. Then he fought the Olympic qualifier, where he fought 5 guys, beat Malik Montgomery twice. So, in that year, he got 14 fights against guys who were all good pros now. And you can't get that. You can't get that as a pro. If he had been pro in 2015, he would have fought 6 guys they dragged in from Tijuana and knocked him out in 45 seconds. And what does he get by that when his mind's fertile? So, I think that process that he went through and that his dad insisted on, I think his dad, people give his dad a hard time, but he's a very smart man and obviously very driven. And he's got a lot of street smarts. He's very cunning. And I think he knew, let's get this top flight competition now. And by the way, Teofimo grew in leaps and bounds. At 15, he probably wasn't the best amateur in Florida. Maybe not even at 16. And by 17 or 18, I thought he was the best amateur fighter in his age class in the world. And I think that's obviously true now. He's definitely the best fighter in the world in his age class.
And that's what I respect about, Team Lopez, is the fact that when you look at his record, he only has 2 fights where the fighters didn't have winning records. All the rest of them, the fighters have winning records, and you just don't see that with someone with just 15 fights. Of course, him just picking up the IBF championship, but you don't see that in their first 10 fights for them only to have like 2 fighters that didn't have winning records.
Yeah, well, so first of all, him and his dad have never said no to a fight, period. Like, they've never even asked a question. They look at their fights as assignments, like a homework, not as an option, which I think is, believe me, it's a refreshing attitude. I don't have that from all my fighters. And then the top ranked matchmakers, Brad Goodman. So a lot of people don't remember this. Teofimo slipped and fell in the first round of his first pro fight. And it was called a knockdown. And I remember sitting there and just horrified. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. They're going to hate him. And then he gets up and knocks the guy out. And Brad Goodman looks at me, the matchmaker at Top Rank, and says, that kid's going to be the best prospect we have. And I said, oh, don't bust my balls. I know he got knocked down. He goes, no, I'm not busting your balls. That guy is going to be the best guy we have. And so Brad was the first guy on the bandwagon. And he makes the fights. And so he pushed the kid hard. He knew that he had a lot of talent and that he could do it. And the father and Teofimo and even myself believed in Brad because we knew he believed in Teofimo. So we took all those fights. There was never like, oh no, can you get us something else? Can you do that? Never. Every fight. Oh, great. That's who it is.
So I know,
and they matched them brilliantly, by the way, all the way. I mean, all those fights were brilliant, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's real talk. And his dad did make that perfectly clear about the way they go about boxing and taking fights. And, being a Teofimo isn't your only champion that you've had, but is he your biggest champion that you've had as far as popularity in the sport of boxing?
Well, he's definitely the most popular. Yeah. But I mean, I think he's going to be the most popular fighter in the whole world, period, whether mine or not. I mean, the guy's, if coronavirus hadn't hit and he stopped Lomachenko, so I get it. That's 2 big ifs. He's the youngest guy by years ever to unify 4 titles. If he had then been able to go ahead and fight at 140 against a Taylor Ramirez champion and beat him, he'd be the first guy ever to unify 2 classes, and he would have done it in the same year. So, I mean, the kid, you go look up at his record and find people who did the same thing at the same age, the same number of fights. You're just not going to find anybody. I mean, he's already a historic anomaly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greatest fighters. I mean, I've had I'm 54 and I've done a lot of things and I was successful at a lot of them. And I joke all the time now that when I die, they're going to put on my tombstone, he managed Teofimo Lopez, because I think he's going to be that big. That'll be the only thing I'll ever be remembered for, which, I'm fine with. But that's how big I think he's going to be. The rest of us are all going to be footnotes in his story.
At 54 years old, there, David, the question was asked, what separates you from other boxing managers?
Well, I mean, look, there are other really good managers out there, so I don't want to act like, obviously I think we're the best company. But I think, we're more organized. I've got a staff. Most of them don't have a staff.
Yeah.
We've done all the analytics and the math. I mean, when we come to a kid, we pick and choose who we want to recruit. It's not people like, hey, look at me. And when we come to a kid, we know sort of where we think that he fits in the boxing world, what his upside is, what the problems might be, what might be a good home for him. So, managers can meet you and bullshit you all you want. But, we're going to come at a guy, we're going to tell him the absolute truth about what we think can be done and what can't be done. And then we're going to go out there and try to make it happen. So, I mean, I think overall, and, also we're not beholden to one company. I think there's a lot of so-called managers that, they got all their guys with one company. Well, how are you going to be an effective advocate for a kid if you're really working for that promoter, right? But we've had people with over 20 promoters. Right now, we've got more people, I think, with Top Rank than anybody. Definitely more people with DeBella than anybody. We got 5 guys with Golden Boy. We've got people with Kings, Banner, Star, Triple G. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of promoters that we've got people with, but I mean, we work with everybody. Dimitri Salita, who's I think the top young up and coming promoter. I think Dimitri is going to be a big star in the sport. But we work with all those guys. So when you come to us, we're going to try to, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. We have guys with them who are big players now, obviously. So when you come to us, we're going to try to talk to everybody about you. We're not just going to run you over to some guy we know somewhere and take some shitty deal.
Last question. Who is your top pound for pound fighter in boxing right now?
Well, before the Donaire fight, I would have said Inouye. I felt like he was the most frightening thing I'd ever seen. And I don't know if I can hold the Donaire fight against him, because although Nonito is way past his prime, especially for those weights, to be as good as he is at that age is unheard of. He's still one of the greats. I mean, I was a big Nonito Donaire fan all my life. And so, having a tough fight with him, I don't know if that cuts it. So maybe Inouye is still my favorite, but you'd have to put Bud Crawford. I mean, Bud is just a special guy. And, you talk about being the smartest fighter in the ring. Bud will always be the smartest fighter in the ring. You're not going to put him in with somebody that's smarter than him. And then I think you have to put, Canelo's got to be somewhere in the argument. But that would be my big three, and probably in that order. Probably Inouye, Bud, and then Canelo. But there are a lot of great fighters out there. I think you could make an argument for Spence. You could make an argument for Lomachenko, for Teofimo, for Fury. I think all of those guys can make an argument, but I'd go with Inouye.
So you believe Fury should be in the top pound for pound now that he picked up the WBC?
Yeah, I mean, I think after what he did to Wilder, how do you not put him in the top 10 pound for pound? I mean, he just destroyed him, I don't know how many of your viewers have seen the movie Patton. It was one of my favorite movies. And there's a great scene where they've briefed Rommel on what kind of person Patton is. And then some, high up general says to Rommel, "What will you do?" And he says, "I will attack and annihilate him before he does the same to me." And that was sort of what I felt like Fury did. I think everybody had thought the strategy to beat Wilder was to stay away from that big right hand, which is the most powerful right hand ever. And I think Fury thought, well, he can't box. He's just got this one thing. Why don't I beat him up before he hits me with that thing instead of trying to avoid it? And he was right. And it was brilliant. I don't know how. And in fact, if you ever watch, I'm bored. I'm locked in this house. If you watch Rocky IV again, what's the guy's name that was Apollo Creed's trainer? It's Apollo. I think it's Apollo. He's training him for the rematch with Mr. T, with Clubber Lang. And he says, you can't stay away from this guy the whole fight. You're going to have to beat him up before he gets to you. I mean, that's what they do. And I know that's a movie, but it's basically what Fury, did also. And that's brilliant. I think you got to give the guy a lot of points. It was a brilliant win.
Well, I know
a lot of guys have tried to beat Wilder. A lot of guys.
Yeah, we definitely looking forward to seeing that rematch, the trilogy again. You know what I'm saying? And Wilder. I'm just curious to know if Wilder, goes in there and get his title back. Will Anthony Joshua even face him or vacate the titles, the WBA title, or whatever?
Yeah, there was a time I thought Joshua was the best of the three, and I now realize I was clearly wrong.
Thank you.
I don't know what's wrong with Joshua, but he's not like those two guys. There's definitely a clear 1, 2, 3 in my mind now, and it's Fury, Wilder, Joshua. And I don't think you can move him around. I don't think it's up for debate. Although I'll never forget seeing Fury get knocked down by Steve Cunningham who was a great fighter, but not a big puncher. And I always thought, gee, if the guy got knocked down by Steve Cunningham, what the hell is and he got knocked down right in the middle of the ring hard. We were Steve Cunningham fans, because Elbaum fought a lot. I brought those fights out of Philly, and I was always going to the fights at the old Blue Horizon in Philly. So we had seen Steve Cunningham since he was a kid, and got excited when he knocked down Fury. Thought he had a chance to win for a minute there, which of course he didn't. Fury got up and stopped him. But you're like, geez, what are you gonna do with Deontay Wilder if you got knocked down by Steve Cunningham? But he's a special guy, Fury. I mean, he's just a special guy.
Wilder is coming off bicep surgery. He said he injured it during the fight, or it was injured, prior to the fight. Do you think he'd be the same going back in there to face Fury?
I don't think he can ever beat Fury now. And I've always thought Deontay's problem is he tries to act like he's a bad guy, and he's not, and so he comes off as insincere, because he's actually, a few times I've been around him, one of the nicest guys, and everybody that I know that knows him says he's a great guy. But yeah, I always find it embarrassing when great athletes like him make excuses for stuff like that. I mean, he got beat by another great athlete. Deontay Wilder will always be a great champion. But the excuses, I think, are more demeaning to him than they accomplish any purpose.
Well, I know you don't have too far to go outside this interview here, Mr. McWater, but I want to thank you.
No, I'm in my office sitting there. I'm standing. I walked around about half of it, because if I don't stop walking, I'll go crazy around this place.
Yeah, no, we both don't have a understanding as to when boxing is gonna, even begin. What's the numbers? Do y'all need like 20 for a gathering, or 30 to gathering for us to start seeing boxing bouts, or what? I mean, what's the number for us?
It's going to be a long time.
Blackouts.
I don't know what it is, and it's going to be a long, long time. And I'll tell you, one of the things nobody's thinking about is for people to be relative again, to be out again, they got to get up to 500,000 tests a day. They're doing about 150, 175,000 now. The same people that do those tests are the people that do all the medicals and blood work for boxing. So I don't even know, like, even if we could fight tomorrow, how are we going to get any medicals done? I mean, we're not going to take priority over them trying to do these COVID tests. And then also we'd have to get COVID tests. And even now, when they're only doing 150,000, they're taking 2 to 4 days, and it only incubates for 9 days. So, you'd have to get the test within 9 days of a weigh-in, but, more than 4 days. So you'd have to be with 5 to 8 days of the weigh-in. You'd have to take the test. And that's a lot of organizing. And, most shows have medicals being turned in at the last minute as it is. So, the added stress of that, I don't know how they're going to do medicals for shows. So, and they're going to be more important than ever and more required than ever. I mean, you can bet your ass everybody's going to want a COVID test as part of this. They're not going to let a guy in the ring that's got COVID. Absolutely. So, I think we're in for a long, long wait. I feel, I'm very much a bear on this.
So with I know you're not an MMA guy, but Dana White continues to try to make the fight card. Is it potential with what you just told me? Is it potential for him to pull this off?
Dana White's his own guy. I mean, although not completely, apparently. When Disney told him to stop, he did.
Yeah, he did.
But I mean, I guess if somebody can do it, it's him. I mean, he doesn't really give a shit what anybody thinks of him. I mean, to be the first pioneer opening something like this, you're going to have to not care about what people think about you, because it is reckless. And you're going to have money and a brand name, and it's going to be very difficult. And also his MMA and his crowd and his athletes are more likely to be white, and I think right wing, and those people are already revolting. So he's going to have more support from them. I think, in boxing, we have a more ethnic crowd and a more ethnic athletes, and both Black and Hispanic, and those people are much higher risk so far. So I think, it looks a little plantation-y if you suddenly are like, oh yeah, my guys are going to fight again, like, you have to care about their health also. So, I think it's a lot harder for boxing. I mean, but we'll see. I mean, I would love it if it opened up, but not if it's going to cost guys their lives or their lungs even. I mean, these guys, they work so hard. To have one of them ruin his lungs so that we can get a fight in 2 months early, that couldn't possibly be worth it.
So they can't sue. They signed the contract to fight and they catch COVID while they're basically at the venue for the fight card. There's no way the management or the promoter can be held liable, huh?
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
I am sure that I'm sure if you were talking to the manager, to the promoter, that they would say yes. If you're talking to me, if one of my guys got it because we were forced into a fight, you'd be damn straight we would be suing for him. But the major boxing promoters have all handled this very responsibly. Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum, DeBella, all those guys, we've talked to all of them and their people, and, they've handled it, and they've called and checked in on the fighters. And I don't think any of them is going to do something irresponsible and just put up a show. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a UFC type thing.
Well, I guess we have to continue to starve there, David, because we really miss the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? We really mix that. I mean, I think the American public in general is going to come back a lot stronger when these bans are lifted.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think it'll be a great time, hopefully. And, and I mean, look, I miss it too, but, pick out your favorite fight, watch it on YouTube. On the side, they'll suggest 10 more to you. I wasted a whole day doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
I watched Foreman Lyle. And then it was like, if you like this, you might like. And I said, you know what? I would like that. And before you knew it, I'd spent 14 hours watching old fights. So, there's that. I know it's not what people want, but that's what they got right now. And I haven't watched them yet, but I understand ESPN is showing stuff from the old Top Rank library, which is, amazing. I mean, the fights they've had, it's ridiculous. It's that's a crazy amount of history. So you've got that, and some time with your families. Everybody's time with their families.
Hey, David, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank Lee Gladden for introducing me that day to you. I want everybody who's watching, David McWater is an absolute profession. He never met me a day in his life and gave me my first boxing credential. Once again, to the fact of Lee Gladden, who also is team.
Definitely a shout out to Lee, who's a great guy and a former fighter.
Yeah, USMC Hall of Famer. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And I had a blast. It was one of the best. It was the best boxing media day I've had to be able to cover Teofimo and his team that day.
Well, hopefully we'll do it again sometime soon. And as I remembered at that press conference, Arum was particularly hilarious.
Yeah, he was very talkative.
Yeah, that was a good one. So, if nobody's ever seen Bob Arum in a press conference, you missed out. Some of them he's hilarious. Frisco was a good one. Oh, all right. Well, thank you.
Hey, it's been a pleasure there, David. Thank you for dropping by in such a tough time, that we're going through right now. Be safe out there. Prayers to you and your family. And I definitely look forward to another media day with Top Rank. Salute to you for tuning in.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.
What's going on, everyone? Shout out to Lee Milk Gladden in the building, man. I wanted to give a thank you to Lee Gladden. He was the one that introduced me to David McWater when I came up to Texas. So definitely my gratitude go out to Lee Gladden Boxing down in Florida, and also to David McWater. He's basically, on team Teofimo Lopez, and he's also the USMC Hall of Famer, when it comes to boxing also, and has his own boxing club down there in gym in Florida. So I know he dropped into the building, and much appreciated, my brother. Thank you for introducing me. To any boxers that's out there, I'm not sure, how you're going to go about it or whatever the case may be, but David McWater is a good dude, man. very approachable, never once standoffish. And that was the best media day that I've ever had while covering the sport of boxing. Hands down, point blank, period. It was the best day. So I definitely wanted to reach out to him because he has a extensive amount of knowledge to the sport of boxing. He's been around it for quite some time. Very intelligent businessman, has several successful business on top of managing 50 plus boxers on his watch. 50 plus boxers now. And of course, IBF lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez. His name is going to elevate to another level. The band lifts. He go in there and get the belts off Vasily Lomachenko. It's going to be amazing. Everything Boxing Sports is in the building. Salute to you, man. Keep doing what you do. Y'all make sure y'all check that brother out and follow his content. Salute to you. Salute to Ohio Run Boxing that was in the building. Alex Ayala was in the building, man. These are boxing heads, man. Alex Ayala is a boxing trainer, always out there putting his content online. So, check these guys out, man. Ohio Run Boxing. Go up here and follow him, if you can, on Facebook. Everything Boxing. Check him out. If you're in the Florida area, go get that work from Gladden Boxing. You know what I'm saying? If you really want that work, go down there and suit up, man, because he got some very talented fighters in his stable. So go check him out, man. I done seen his boys at work on more than one occasion. So be on the lookout for them turning professional and coming up through the ranks. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a joke either. Lion Killer was in the building. Y'all make sure y'all follow him. I'm just checking out some of the comments. Ain't no problem there, Alex. You know what it is. I know you be on the road. A lot of people don't think I be following them, man. I be on everybody's window. You know what I'm saying? I might not crack it open, but I look in everybody's window on social media. You know what I'm saying? I check out content, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll show you love. I'm not going to do like a lot of people. They won't even acknowledge people that they know. I mean, what's up with acknowledgement? It's so easy to do, but people just don't want to do it, man. Acknowledge the ones that's out here doing the same thing you're doing, man. If they're good people, acknowledge them, man. It's all good. But I definitely want to get a shout out, man. David McWater's dropping through, man. He's over there in NYC, and he dropped some nuggets, man, some jewels today. He kind of he let us know it's not going to be as easy for NYC to open up when it comes back to boxing. I mean, he told me something I didn't know as far as how the testing is going to play out. And then, we asked about who he believes is the pound for pound best fighter. He said Terrence Crawford. That was him saying that. But it was good to hear him speak on, Charles Conwell and the situation that happened in their bout with him and Patrick Day. Shout out to Jackal Fitness over there. I know they basically supported Patrick Day heavy, really heavy. So shout out to Jackal Fitness, AWD over there, man, doing their thing. The underground kings of media. Salute to you, my brothers. We still see you. I do want to ask you this question. I want to ask those of you that's in here, right? Denise Ward say excellent work. Is recognized by me working from home. I can catch you live more. Much love and respect. Hey, the same to you. One love to you too, Denise. Thanks for dropping through and support. Everything Boxing and Sports. A great video you did on Stevenson's situation with his ex-wife also. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Everything Boxing. I want to ask those boxing heads that's in here right now, right? You heard what David McWater said. You heard what he said. I want to reiterate, so it won't be no mistaking of what he said and what I've been talking about for Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, now that we have some clarity, Teofimo Lopez goes in here for Vasily Lomachenko for the unification of the lightweight division. He said there's going to be a WBC belt in there. And then, you know, I asked, okay, what about the Devin Haney recess deal? So with clarity comes distortion. So he said that he fight Vasily Lomachenko, we might be having a unification for all the marbles, all the straps in the lightweight division. That is interesting to me. That is interesting. If Teofimo Lopez, the IBF lightweight champion, goes in there and fight Vasily Lomachenko, who is the franchise WBC title holder and Super WBA WBO, how does the WBC filter in there? But you know, God damn it, that would be a good ass fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. If it's for the undisputed lightweight championship, that would be outstanding, man. That's gonna be a hell of a fight. How can, look, if they're able to pull this off before the welterweight division, it's going to say a lot about certain people who are in charge of certain boxers. If they're able to pull this off and make this fight happen in the right location, and it happens for all the straps, it will be a phenomenal time for boxing, because we get to see a unification. Not in the cruiserweight division. We ain't talking about Alexander Usyk. We're talking about one of the more popular divisions, the lighter divisions. And plus, with two of the top tier names in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? That would be great. My next question is for Gary Russell Jr. You know, for all the boxing heads that's in here, does he make a stamp moving up 2 weight classes to 135? People are kind of looking at him like just talking, but I don't think so. Gary Russell Jr. has called out Devin Haney. He's called out Ryan Garcia. He's basically made note of Gervonta Davis. How does Gary Russell Jr. fare moving up 2 weight classes, lightweight division? I'm really interested to see him fight any one of those fighters he just mentioned. Not so much Ryan Garcia, because I truly believe Ryan Garcia isn't educated enough in the sport to go in there against a professor like Gary Russell Jr. No matter how many videos he make, he's not ready. He's not ready. My only other 2 questions is, you know, the Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis. I never see Gary Russell out of shape like we see some of these other fighters. And I can say the same for Devin Haney. I never really see Devin Haney out of shape. So I think Devin Haney and Gary Russell will be a solid matchup. But would it happen? Will they stop talking about money, money, money? Will that fight actually take place? You know, because I just get the itch that it's going to be about money at the end of the day. I don't think so much Gary will call out the 135-pound division, then make it about money. I'm thinking more so Devin Haney, them. You know, they may start, you know, trying to up the tag and put out some offer 80-20 and shit. You know what I'm saying? They might come up with 80-20. And Gary Russell be like, huh? I'm going up there for 20%. What you think, Shouty? What you think? Alex Ayala said, no, sir, Russell too small for 140. Okay. It's not 140, man. He's talking about moving up to 135. He said he's skipping 130. There's nobody there that he wants, and he's going up to 135. So it's definitely 135 and not 130. He's skipping over 130. He ain't trying to do it. It's no big names for him. He want to go straight up there to 135 where the nesting pool is. They have a kennel. They have motherfucking cages open at 135. They have so many top names at 135. It's unbelievable. 135 is taking over boxing right now when the welterweight division should be taking over boxing. That's just my OP, y'all. I mean, I can agree there, Alex. I mean, being with the COVID-19 and all that, we don't know when boxing is going to lift. But the scary part about it is that hearing what David said about the testing could potentially say we won't see boxing into July or August or something like that. That's a bit scary. Everything boxing say, he'll have to use all his boxing skills and stay in the pocket, less against the heavy-handed bigger guys. But Gary Russell can do it. I wouldn't put it past him. Man, I agree. Seeing Gary Russell fight in person, seeing him on TV, he's a very educated fighter. He's a very educated human being. Him and his brothers who fight. I'm not just saying that just because I don't go around here saying that about people, but I'm just saying the mentality that they have on the outside of the ring, I can't imagine that doesn't bleed over when they're in there in the heat of combat, and then they have to think their way through the battle. It's a thinking man's game when you in there 1-on-1, mano a mano in the ring, and you have to go in there and defeat your opponent. And I just think, to a point, experience-wise, boxing IQ, I have to give Gary Russell Jr. his credit, his just due. Now, as far as size, that's what Gary's going to have to, he weighed in at 143. That's something he's going to have to take with him. That really can't change. And the reason why I say he's going to have to take it with him, because we've seen boxers move up. All right. Mikey Garcia moved up, as much as I don't want to use him as a comparison, but he moved up and he made it to the 12th round, y'all. Mikey Garcia moved up to 147, even though he picked up a strap at 140, and he didn't get stopped. He actually was outboxed. But then I look at Gary Russell Jr., who can actually box with the best of them, and for him to move up to 135, he's going to have to carry all that weight gain and everything else up there with him, and he's going to have to, improvise, adapt, and overcome if he's a smaller man, period. You know what I'm saying? If he says the scale is 143, the scale is 143. That means he's up where he needs to be right now. You know what I'm saying? Ohio Run Boxing said, I just don't, Scotty, shaking my head. That's a big jump. That's a big jump, but when you're talking about the mindset and the education that's going to be on display, I wouldn't say that about every fighter, but Gary Russell, man, I've seen him and his brothers box in person. They're some smart fighters. They just ain't going to the gym, going through the motions, man. Like, they're a different group of dudes, man. Serious. They're a different type of apex predators, man. I ain't just saying that about every fighter. I'm just saying, when you talk about the physical aspect, okay, it's only going to take you so far, right? And then you induce the mental aspect with the physical aspect, and then what's supposed to be in a disadvantage may end up becoming an advantage. You never know. It's not all about the physical. It's all about the mental and the physical when you're making moves like this. You know what I'm saying? And perfect example, once again, how did Mikey Garcia look when he fought Robert Easter? How did Mikey Garcia look when he was in there with Robert Easter? He didn't look lethargic. He didn't look nothing. Mikey Garcia looks drained, dry, and everything else. And you're saying to yourself, man, he looks small as shit. He looked drained. He looked dry. He ain't gonna be able to make it. And he goes in there and put out. He goes in there and put out. I'm looking at Robert Easter. Okay, he's looking the way Robert Easter, tall, lanky, rangy fighter. You know, he's always in shape. But then you look at Mikey Garcia, man, he just looks shrunken in everything. He still went in there and was able to get the knockdown in the process. So, you know, for some people, The physical may hinder them if they're not mentally strong. Also, you have to take in consideration, it's not going to be long from now that we see Shakur Stevenson moving up in weight. It's not going to be long. All this downtime, he's already picked up a strap. It's only a matter of time before you see him potentially moving up to another weight class. So people are going to be like, Shakur Stevenson too small. But once again, it's not the size sometimes, y'all. Sometimes it's not the size, y'all. What's the saying they say about the dog? Alex said, I don't see boxing back in 2020. Man, as much as I don't try to get on here and prognosticate and basically get the fans all down and in a slumber mood, I try to keep it positive as I possibly can when speaking about the projected date. But I agree with you. I'm abreast with what you're saying, man. I can't sit up here. If I get on here, I might say, well, we can give a projection here. They live and then start the gatherings, this, that, and the other. But honestly, even hearing David confirm how strenuous the testing is going to be to start clearing, just to start getting the clearing, getting the all clear, how many tests that has to be done over weeks at a time, just so we can know COVID-19 has leveled down. That's going to be a beast, y'all. Man, that's going to be a beast. And that may put boxing all the way down near the end of the year unless something drastic happens. And this is what I can't understand, people. I can't see how China had all those cases, but we haven't heard anything else about China. Are you trying to tell me that shit just dropped off the face of the earth? Something isn't right. I don't dive into motherfucking politics all the time, but something isn't right, y'all. Like China, when this shit came out, it was shit popping off in China. It was COVID-19 everywhere. Now you look on the news, it's all about what? The US. Where did all the COVID-19 cases go in China? Where did all the casualties go? Did they kill them all? Did they put them in a mass burial? Where did all those cases go? How did COVID-19 disappear from China? Because we don't hear shit about China no more. But you know what? We do hear every damn day. We hear about somebody else in the hospital dealing with COVID-19. I'm just keeping it. I'm just keeping it real, man. Ohio Run Boxing said we need boxing. Alex Ayala say them Russell brothers train hard. I see it firsthand. Man, I got respect for the Russell brothers, man. We've seen it through boxing. Not to insult anyone's boxing history or how in depth they have their boxing knowledge, but we done seen several times in history when size supposed to have been a disadvantage, but yet the heart, the courage, the fortitude, the tenaciousness, the dog, that particular fighter ended up winning the fight, even though they was undersized. We've seen it several times, not just in boxing, but we've seen it in combat sports in general. We've seen bigger fighters step into the arena. As much as I don't want to mention this motherfucker, for real, like Conor McGregor, you're talking about the person who started off at 145 now, featherweight, and he moved all the way up to 170 welterweight and faced Nate Diaz, y'all. I'm just saying, he ain't the only one that's made moves like that. He went from 145 all the way up to 170. He won the title 145, went all the way up to 170 and fought Nate Diaz. Subbed out once and then went to a decision and dropped back down. Y'all say a lot of fighters walk around between 50 and 20 pounds heavier, and they cut a lot of weight to every fighter is different. Yeah, I truly understand that. And then I look at it like this too, Alex. It's like the fighters who are cutting weight are they able to maintain that? Do they have a good nutritionist to maintain that weight if they plan on moving up? You know, the walk around weight, and then when they start to train and cut weight, when you move up in the division, you don't want to cut too much weight and just say you at 140 and you walking around at 155 or whatever, and you just moved up to 140. You don't want to cut too much weight and your body get used to losing that weight and your metabolism speed up, and you end up coming in below the weight limit. So that's a process in itself. You know, you have to understand how that formula works. And I know Alex, he'll know more about that than me. I really don't get too in depth about that shit. Ohio Run Boxing said you make good points. I appreciate the donation there, Ohio Run Boxing. Thanks for tuning in. Real talk. Salute to you. For everyone who tuned in, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get in touch with some more fighters. During this time, man, fighters just aren't. I'm gonna tell you what I see. I mean, you can disagree, and you can. I'm gonna tell you what I see right quick. And I'm really trying to interview boxers, right? And I'm, mixed martial artists too, but we're talking about strictly boxing. This is what I see right now is going on. I see a lot of mixed martial artists. They're on podcasts. They're doing IG lives. They're just everywhere. They're in one way, shape, or form, they're trying to stay relevant in their own light. You know what I'm saying? But I don't understand why it's so difficult to get an interview with boxers, though. Like, you don't have to show your face. Even if you did an audio interview, it's all good, man. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk what's going on in your life. That's what it's all about. But I see more MMA guys and girls or whatever on IG, on podcasts, on radio. They're always talking something about the sport, talking something about this, that, and the other, and it's very informative. It's something to talk about. And that's why I be up here talking about mixed martial arts a lot, because they're consistent. They're trying to be relevant consistently. They're trying to keep the conveyor belt going. Even through COVID-19, they're trying to keep some talking points on the conveyor belt. With boxing, I just don't see hardly any boxers out unless they're talking to one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see a lot of it. I mean, I'm on the prowl. I'm going around reconning Twitter, IG, Facebook, just trying to find out, what's going on with some of these fighters out here. But I don't want to have to go up here and report on negative situations all the time. I really want to talk to the fighters, see how they holding up during the COVID-19, see what the projection is, see if there's any information that I don't already have that can educate me, and, do some boxing media. So if you're on here, man, put the word out. Interview, man. Interview. Let's go, man. You don't have to have 50,000 subscribers to get an interview. Let the boxers know, man. You know who you are. Send some boxers some emails and no response. It's like, what? I'm not old enough to just get a response, man. You know what I'm saying? Just show me, yeah, yay, nay, whatever. But anyway, people, I will continue to try to get some boxing media content, some talking points. Sometimes the well is a little dry. You have to go up there and manual fill that shit all the way back up to the top. And that means you have to go find, and you have to take your mental shovel and go out here and look, and find a muddy spot and start digging. That's what you have to do on social media. You have to find out where there may be water, and you have to dig and search for content. Or you can get it from interviews, and that's what we need to do. Boxers, reach out to these media, preferably World Combat Sports, and let's talk about boxing, man. Let's talk about some of the things of some of the fights that you've been through already that the fans may have questions about. And then, we can talk about some future plans that you have. I'm definitely trying to get a hold. I know Sean Porter was on live, man. Sean Porter was on live. He had like 400 people tuned in, I think. And I have to give him credit for that. He was on live by himself, though. But yet he was on live. So I have to show him love for that. At least he got on live. Now, brothers, once again, Sean Porter got on live looking like the black Grizzly Adams. Who cannot go to the store and get a razor? You can go to the store and get a razor, people. I'm trying to tell you, it's so easy to cut your own goddamn hair. You don't have to get on here with a Scully on, with a do-rag on. You don't have to do any of that. Just learn how to cut your damn hair. And you know what? Like I told my peeps, I told them, this is the perfect time to fuck your hair up. That shit can grow back. Go get some clippers, some edges. And if you're already wearing a cap, guess what? You fuck that shit up. You throw your cap on, nobody ain't gonna know you fucked it up. But you got cats like Sean Porter. Sean Porter was on live talking boxing, salute to him. But he haven't shaved in freaking 2 months. You're supposed to let yourself go. You don't have to let yourself go because you ain't going nowhere. Shit. I'm gonna tell you like this. That ain't flying over here. My girl ain't just walking around the house, hair all fucked up and shit. I say, damn, you need to goddamn find a GPS and put in a location and go find a beautician that's active. And let's make this pop. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Disneyland. You ain't walking around here looking like a clown, man. Cutting your hair is so damn easy. Seriously, people. It's so easy, y'all. Y'all want, hit me up. Y'all need some tips, man. My brothers that's out here looking grizzly. It's so easy to cut your own damn hair. All you need is a guard. You need a set of main clippers and then some edges to line your shit up in the front. I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying to help so you can get on here. That's what I do. I learned how to cut at 12 years old, man. It's easy work, y'all. But, back to boxing, man, we hope some comes out of something. You know what I'm saying? I was glad to hear about the Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. I was really glad to hear about potentially it might be a WBC belt in the equation. You know what I'm saying? Brian Burrell in the building. Salute to you, man. Alex say I'm one of those guys. I don't trust anyone with my hair. Fuck that. I'm growing a fro. Okay, man. But even with a fro, though, what I'm trying to tell you, even with a fro, you pick that shit out and learn how to shape it up with the clippers. It's a work of art, man. And with a fro, you do have to be very careful with the hand, the sleight of hand. You do. Else you will put a motherfucking crater in your shit. But like I said before, a lot of cats are wearing caps and scullies and do-rags anyway. So if you fuck it up, if it's a little bit higher than normal, just take it down. Just take it down a couple of layers, man. That's all. It ain't gonna be that bad. Now, if you go down to the scalp, then you got issues. If you're fucking around and you drop your clippers and you hear that sound, that infamous sound, and you just took out a patch, it's a way to handle that. All right. Of course, you can cover it up with a cap and everything else. But then this day and time, they got that paint that you can put on your head and all that other bullshit. I mean, they got so much stuff to go up there. You can cover up the scalp so it won't be light. Now, myself, I don't dye my hair. I don't do shit. Gray is gonna be gray. That's what it is. But I'm just looking out for the bros that's out here on live. They don't want to be seen. I'm telling you, it's not that serious. Take the opportunity during COVID-19 to fuck your hair up. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to cut. So look, this ain't gonna be the last time we go in quarantine. Learn now, so when you cannot go to your barber, at least you know how to get down, cut your shit, wash it, line that shit up, and then look presentable. It's not, it's not hard to line your hair. It is not hard. If you can go in the ring and box, you can line your shit up. It's better for you to line your hair up than your barber, because your barber is going to take a pair of edges to it, and he's going to take a blade, a straight razor, or maybe even a blade to it. Your shit going back. You're going to come out there looking different. You're going to say, damn, he gave me the Popeyes, crispy. And then you're going to say, God damn, you get home in better light. You're going to be like, shit, I need to goddamn hold out on that. You need to learn how to line your own motherfucking hair. It's simple, people. I mess with the pick, but not the machine. If you fuck it up, I like that. Jorge Vasquez, salute to you. Thanks for dropping through. He said, what you think about Haney talking that he want, that he okay, I got you, Vasquez. Vasquez said, what you think about Haney talking about he won't lose to a white boy? Well, ask Bernard Hopkins. Ask B-Hop what happened. You know what I'm saying? We got another brother saying they ain't gonna lose to a white boy now. Listen, you can take that just because it's a lot of blacks and Hispanics or Mexicans in the sport of boxing. You can't lose to a European fighter or a white fighter, whatever. Him saying he won't lose, if he did say that, I haven't heard him say that. But if indeed, I would say look back at Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins said, I'll never lose to a white boy. He made that perfectly clear. B-Hop said that shit. I don't put too much emphasis in that. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing about Devin Haney saying that is this. Devin Haney may see in his division that there's not too many he has to worry about. In 135-pound division, who's there? Vasily Lomachenko? I don't see him fighting Vasily anytime soon. Who is he going to test that out with? Who he's going to be able to sign the dotted line to test out that declaration that he made? Because that's a hell of a declaration. And he had to own up to it. AKU say that sounds like Hopkins. I agree, man. I agree. Alex said COVID-19 will teach a lot of people how to do shit they never done. And that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm just trying to explain to you. The ones that's afraid to get online, that's talking about, oh, shit, man, I need my barber, man. I'll pay anybody. You ain't going to pay anybody to cut your hair. Look, if you're going to, man, I could be making some money extra money right now cutting hair. I just don't have the time, man. And plus it's social distancing, man. So I really don't want to put myself in jeopardy cutting somebody's hair. But I can be racking up right now. Because I'm going to tell you something that you may take offense to. And I really don't care, man. But it's never been more easier to go out here and get phone numbers. I see so many goddamn females out, man. What the man ain't coming out with them? I mean, I ain't never seen so many fine females. Like, the clubs are closed, and you see, man, all you have to do is walk in the local grocery store. I'm like, God damn, all they need is a DJ. If they have a DJ right there on the spot, we're talking about doing the daytime too. It'll be on and popping. All we need is a DJ, dim the lights a little bit. Man, it's too many women that's out. The brothers ain't gonna come out because their hair is not cut. In some cases, the hair ain't cut, but the women, man, I'm telling you, I ain't never seen so many fine women out here. And COVID-19 has brought them to the surface. Usually they was probably at home waiting to go out to happy hour, waiting to go out to the nightlife. Nightlife is shut down, so their whole entire schedule is fucked up. They don't know what to do. But you know what? When you single, it's time to mingle. That's when I pull up in the caddy. Be like, shout, hey. Oh, shit. COVID-19, man. I hope everybody's doing great. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. But for Devin Haney, man, I just want to see who he's talking about. Because extract Vasily Lomachenko out the question. All right? We ain't worried about Vasily because he ain't fighting Vasily no time soon, especially if him and Teo is on the docket. Who else in there? Let me look it up, man. Let me just drop. Since the topic, all right, since the topic was brought up, I have to do a little bit of due diligence and check this out. And my fault, it kind of bled over to my fake UK accent. But did y'all hear about what he said about Anthony Joshua? I'll get to that later. But let's go down to the 135-pound division for European contenders that will somewhat test the strategy of the declaration of Devin Haney. Devin Haney say, if he didn't say he won't lose to a white boy, well, guess what? I'm looking in the top 10 across the board, the top 10 in the sanctioning bodies, and I'm looking for worthy opponents that may be of European stature. And there's Lee Selby. There's Lee Selby, but guess what? When you look over here, Lee Selby is ranked 9th in the WBC. He won't be facing Devin Haney anytime soon. And besides that, all the rest of them is not even worth mentioning because the shade of their skin is much more darker than that. Now, if you're talking about from other organizations, no need to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, he's going to say that because there's really no one that's in his weight class under the WBC sanctioning body that he has to worry about facing anytime soon. That can test him. That's real talk. I appreciate that, Ohio Run Boxing, man. Thank you very much for the donation. He says Tony Harrison also told Willie Nelson at the press conference that he's not losing to a man named after a country singer and got upset. Damn. Why y'all brothers be doing that, man? Why y'all be putting yourself in such a demand when you say, you know, you're not going to lose to a white fighter? And then that shit's hilarious, man. It's no way I'm losing to a fighter than with a name after a country singer. And you know what? I think I listened to a Willie Nelson song or two, maybe once or twice. But I can't never tell you that it was something that was on my playlist. I'd be absolutely lying to you. I never had Willie Nelson in my playlist now, but some country music, it's good. You know, that's just entertaining. They talk about relationships all the time. Talking about shooting a motherfucker with a shotgun, fishing out back in the pond. You know what I'm saying? Finding out a baby that they thought was theirs, but actually were their friend. But yet they still took care of it. They have some storylines for your ass now. AKU said Haney, Lopez, Garcia, Shakur, Tank. Who's the biggest star in 2025? You're looking like 5 years out. A lot of changes, to be honest, a lot of changes can happen during that time. Now, out of the names that you mentioned, I really have to extract. I'm just going to take away because look at it this way. The biggest star, Tank, is already a 3-time champion. So comparable to everybody else on that list, Tank is already above them anyway. Tank is a 3-time champion. Plus he moved up and fought Gamboa and picked up the WBA regular. So he's a 3-time champion. So he shouldn't even be on this list. Now, Garcia, Lopez is he has the IBF title. Haney has the WBC, and Shakur Stevenson has the WBO. They all are champions, besides Ryan Garcia. Okay, but Gervonta Tank Davis is much more of a star right now. So if he continued to ascend in the sport of boxing, and just say he goes 135, he pick up another title, and then decide to move up to 140. If he chooses to do that, I don't foresee Tank stopping at 135. I think Tank is going to make a move up to 140 sooner or later. I can't see him at welterweight, but 140. So Tank, as much as people want to criticize him, he's a 3-time world champion. Nobody else on this list is. So in 2025, the biggest star, in my opinion, man, it's a hard question to answer. I'm not going to lie. But looking at the mentality that I see and the technical skill set and the star power, man, I cannot sit up here and deny, Teofimo Lopez right now, right? But also I can say I can't deny Shakur Stevenson. Then I can turn around and say Devin Haney. I'm not too sold on Ryan Garcia yet. But when you talk about Haney, Lopez, and Shakur, they all have straps already. Ryan Garcia does not. So until I see Ryan Garcia pick up a strap and defend it, it's nothing too much I can say about that. That's a good question, AKU. But I have to answer with one question. I would say Teofimo Lopez. If anything, I have to say Teofimo Lopez. I will have to say Teo. Period. 2025, I have to say Teofimo. Focused. Now that he got everything else out the way, focused, put on damn good performances. Yeah, Teofimo. That's what it is. That's my answer. I ain't changing that shit. Real talk. Now is Joshua thrashing time, right? And for those of you Joshua fans that's in here, you can stay in here. Please do. Because I'm not going to say anything different than I already said. But Joshua is he's doing what many consider clout chasing. He started the clout chase leading up to the fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, right? And he wanted to remain relevant because even though he won his titles back, he's not getting that same love he gets when he's walking out in the UK with the pyrotechnics and all that. He's not getting that love as a 2-time unified champion. He's not getting the love, people. Now, what am I getting? I'm getting the same mentality that the boxing fans was criticizing Deontay Wilder for. Trash talking. Anthony Joshua's trash talking now. Nothing they never really criticized Tyson Fury for, because he called people a cunt, bum, dosser, all that shit. They don't say nothing about it. But I'm just keeping it to the darker shade, right? Every time Deontay Wilder talks shit, it was against the law. We should revise the First Amendment because Deontay Wilder, he's just a classless individual. He trash talk, and the sport of boxing don't need that. The sport of boxing don't need Deontay Wilder talking trash the way he does. Who does that? Why don't you just be a class act, a gentleman? Just be a gentleman. That's all we ask for, Deontay. You don't have to summon the bronze bomber to catch a body. You don't have to. So Anthony Joshua is doing the exact same thing Deontay Wilder was doing. I'm just asking where all the criticism at. Anthony Joshua is feeling the need to clout chase right now. He doesn't have that freaking spark. Even though he's a unified champion, y'all, Anthony Joshua doesn't have the spark that he's looking for. So now he's turning on Tyson Fury. Now he's trying to get people doing this lockdown to say what? Pay attention to me. I'm that good to go in there against Tyson Fury. Just give me a chance. Man, I will say 10 out of 10 times Tyson Fury watched the shit out of Anthony Joshua if Tyson Fury ain't all about giving up the belt. Because one thing about Tyson Fury, the longer this layoff, the more trouble potentially he can get in. That's just my opinion. The more time he has idle, the more trouble he's going to get in. That's just me. He got too much time on his hand. And plus, he has the money to play around with. Thankfully for him, he was able to come back, be able to have 6 fights, and get paid pretty damn good. You know, he went in there and competed against 2 freaking mannequins, you know, to fit his Tinder profile. Then he faced Deontay Wilder, you know, got paid pretty good. Then he stepped back down and fought, you know, Tom Schwartz and Otto Walling. We all know that shit. And then he won the title. So he came back with 6 fights, which, you know, you have to give him his credit for. But for Anthony Joshua to start turning on Tyson Fury now and trash talk, no one is buying that shit. No one is buying it. I was saying this shit in 2018, man. Anthony Joshua is the most overrated heavyweight. Anthony Joshua is a paper champion. But then I get people who's my friends on Facebook. They want to come and do the torchlit parade and do a protest outside my window, you know, throwing little pebbles, talking about no social distancing. When you're talking about Anthony Joshua, we're coming for your head and all that other shit. Man, Anthony Joshua is clout chasing off the name of Tyson Fury. Period, y'all. Period. Y'all need to stop protecting that man and be real boxing fans and hold that man accountable for not having the heart that you thought he had. Because you know he went in there and quit against Andy Ruiz. You know he went in there and quit. So when you compare Anthony Joshua's loss to Andy Ruiz and you compare Deontay Wilder's loss to Tyson Fury, who got the fuck up and who was still fighting? Regardless if a towel was thrown in, regardless of the way he looked, regardless of everything you want to say to put a damn umbrella over the performance of how Deontay Wilder looked, he got knocked down twice and he got up twice. He wasn't looking around for freaking JDs to come save him. It wasn't none of that bullshit. It was all out freaking war. He was in a battle. He had a big lip. He had knots on his head. And he was still swinging and ended it with a hook. The hook landed and the towel hit the floor. Come on, people. You tell me who got more heart. Because you can't convince me Andy Ruiz has more punching power. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. Convince me Andy Ruiz has more punching power. Perry said Joshua needs to fight to win the Fury of Wilder if he wants to be relevant. I agree, AKU, who took the L like a man. I don't necessarily, talk about who took I understand what you're saying, who took their L like a man, but in the heat of the battle, when the adrenaline's still up, when you're still feeling the hurt, the pain, when you're still a little bit confused and bewildered, and Tyson Fury is leaning and giving punches and landing them, keeping the pressure on. Deontay Wilder got knocked down twice and he was still fighting. He didn't spit his mouthpiece out. Man, y'all got to kind of look at the shit, man. Like, Anthony Joshua spit his gum shield out, y'all. To stall for more time. Look at the Joseph Parker fight when Anthony Joshua ripped the tape off his gloves because he was tired. This is a reoccurring theme for Anthony Joshua to take his own timeouts, and the referee over there in the UK allow him to do that shit. Come on, look at your boxing, man. Look at your boxing. Find me a fight where Deontay Wilder spit out his gum shield for more time. Show me a fight where Deontay Wilder looked left or right for JDs to run up to the ring and say, yes, Deontay, what is this you summoned me for? What is it, Deontay? You taking punishment, fight through the pain. You are a king. Kings, rule. It's time for you to rule. Don't be like Anthony Joshua. No, you never saw that shit. But you look at what happened to Andy Ruiz fight. Anthony Joshua had his elbows up on the rope. He's looking around like it's a Rocky movie, like he's looking for somebody to put up a meme and say, throw in the towel. Throw in the goddamn towel. He's a quitter, man. The raw reality, Anthony Joshua is a quitter. Period. If by chance, and I really don't want to sit up here and say some bullshit like this because he really, he don't deserve it. But if by chance he's able to finagle himself, finagle himself into a unification bout, the only way he's going to get the only way he's going to fight for unification is if if Tyson Fury keeps that WBC. I'm going to tell you like this. He ain't fighting Deontay Wilder, y'all. Alex say, trash talk, paydays, hand down, it's boxing. If you don't like trash talking, go watch golf. Every fighter trash talk. They all just do it in a different way on how they talk. I agree, man. No disagreeing here. No resistance from me. I believe. How would Wilder look talking trash? Dude's too big to sound like a chump. I agree with that. But, having people say that a fighter that talks trash is classless. It's classless now. To say that about a person that's talking trash about a fighter when it's something that happens in the sport all the time, just like Alex just said, right? How can you allow Tyson Fury to get away with it? Why aren't you holding him accountable for trash talking? This man talks trash and called every fighter a freaking bum. Then he comes out with a video after the fight between him and Deontay Wilder and said, you know what? Something may have been wrong with the suit. Because that, in many words, that was my easiest fight of my career. He's saying that was his easiest fight of his career. So he comes out because the media loves to put Tyson Fury in front of the mic, right? He comes out and say, well, let me kind of, caveat to the suit, the sidebar conversation with the suit. And then he kind of make light of it and then turns around and closing remarks saying that was the easiest fight he ever had. Mr. Carefoot, uncastrated, boar eating. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury is a drug cheat, period. Don't have shit to do with mental illness. Get it through y'all head, man. Man, Jorge Vasquez, I got Teofimo Lopez. I'm calling it right now. I think Teofimo Lopez can stop Vasily Lomachenko in maybe the 9th or 10th round. I do. I think. I'm going for Teofimo Lopez, real talk. I believe he can stop the old, elder, 32-year-old Vasily Lomachenko, a.k.a. in boxing years, the man is about 42 years old. Seriously. He's the same age as Floyd Mayweather in boxing years because he's taken some punishment. He came over to the sport late from the amateurs. When you go over there and you win 2 gold medals, that is wear and tear on the tread. That shit don't go away. That shit don't go anywhere. You come over here with hundreds of amateur fights and you wondering why when you should be excelling in the sport and people talk about you in your prime, you start to degrade. That is from having an extensive amateur career. I would suggest against that. It's good to have some fights, but not as much as Vasily Lomachenko did. Why stay over there in the Olympics twice? Why? I'm just asking. If you really want to make a name for yourself, you should have came over here from the Olympics after you won the first gold medal and stopped fighting little boys over there in the Olympics. You should have came over here when the gate was motherfucking open and the backyard was full of motherfucking hounds. You should have came over here and got it popping off right there. But no, you wanted to slide in there, make sure the division was right, try to come in there and win your title. faster than anybody has done it. But yet Salido had different plans. You know what I'm saying? Salido say no, boxing is a sport, but also where I'm from, we headbutt too. Where I'm from, we hit in the groin. Where I'm from, it's the same people that taught Tyson Fury how to damn fight dirty too. We do that. And Salido stopped the train, man. Don't be mad at Salido. Be mad at freaking Vasily Lomachenko for not doing anything about it. Tori Savage, what's good, man? Salute to you. AKU say no quitters don't win rematches. Tori Savage say Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, I got Teo, man. Alex Yell said, I just don't like when a fighter talks trash. And when they get their ass handed to them, then excuses comes. Don't talk if you can't back it up. I agree with that. And to be honest, I'm one of those people. Like, believe me, anybody who know me coming up, it's a lot of people that may be in the services on my Facebook. They ain't gonna say shit to me because when I was in uniform, I was full throttle, man. I was full speed. Seriously, if I got fucked up, I will admit I fucked up and I couldn't get that shit done. But most of the time, if I'm trash talking before the competition happened, hey, I'm gonna say, yeah, you got me. It's certain shit that just don't faze me like that. If someone know more boxing than me, okay, yeah, I'll say boxing, but it's not gonna be how personal you can get about somebody you ain't never met. Like all the nigga this and trash talking here, that ain't gonna do shit to me. That ain't gonna do shit. You can trash talk about that. But if I learn something from somebody, I say, man, okay, that's some good shit. I learned something. Because I'm gonna tell you, no one likes to be wrong, period. But it's some people out here that can accept it better than others. It's some people that's more mature than others to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? But you got some people that say, let's get on here and debate. Let's debate boxing. But it's not a debate when you're arguing about stuff that's unimportant. You know what I'm saying? It's unimportant to the topic. But good point there, Alex. Alex say amateur and pros different level, brother. Yep. Ohio Run Boxing say, and Buster Douglas lost his mother before his fight for sure. And you know what? I remember watching that fight when it happened. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think Buster Douglas was gonna get up. I looked at him, thought he thought about it. Buster Douglas thought. I see him, he was contemplating a little bit. But God damn it, when Buster Douglas got up, that was one of the most beautiful performances of boxing. I mean, I'm like, damn, Buster was fighting tall. He was fighting rangy. Like Buster Douglas had everything going for him when he got up. He didn't show no fear. Buster Douglas, I was like, God damn it, this dude, if we could only get him to fight like this every freaking time. Like the odds of Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson was astounding. The disparity in the betting odds was just astounding. But internal to Buster Douglas, he went and tapped into another level and he made history on that night. He made history. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't reciprocate that history and keeping his belt for a long period of time. But what an amazing display of boxing when Buster Douglas got up from the canvas. I'm telling you, I was shaking my head. I was like, God damn. Let's see if he can defend it. Several times over. Tori Savage say true, but it's boxing. Jorge say Haney or Teofimo. Haney has been asking for some actions with Teo. Right now, man, I'm not, me looking at the way Teofimo looked against Richard Comey and the way he looked in general. I know he looked a certain way against a taller, what's his name, Nakatani? I got Teofimo Lopez, man. I got Teofimo. Boxing is a sport of popularity too. Boxing is a sport of culture. A lot of people, one thing I can say about Devin Haney, he keeps himself relevant. And that's why, as a media segue, right? My whole perspective in taking pictures and how I learned how to use the camera from scratch is the fact that I want to catch those special moments, right? One thing I can say about Devin Haney is that he keeps himself relevant by taking pictures and keeping himself in the media, putting little small training clips out there. That's what I appreciate about Devin Haney. I haven't seen too many other boxers do that, but consistently, I will tell you this: Devin Haney and whoever his photographer is, they always keep Devin Haney relevant, especially on IG, putting pictures out there of him even dressed, you know, like he going out or training. So I commend him for that, but I'm going for Teofimo Lopez if they fight. You know, the jury's still out on Devin Haney. That's all. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. AK, you said, damn, Buster and Ruiz kind of the same pass. Absolutely, I agree. Andy Ruiz and Buster Douglas. But see, how would I say this? Who was worse between Buster Douglas and Andy Ruiz? Who was worse? Who was worse? You know, a part of me just say, shit, Andy Ruiz was worse. You know what I'm saying? It's just a part of me to say, when you come in that overweight and look that opposite of your initial performance, you should be criticized. You should be criticized, man. It ain't no doubt about it. But when you sit up here and blatantly quit, they should hold that to you and staple that shit to your goddamn chest like a corsage, so people can see it every time you step in the ring. It should be a big ass Q, you know, over your left pectoralis. They should staple that shit, blood and everything dripping down. Until you earn and convince the people you ain't a quitter no more, you should come in the ring with that shit stapled to your goddamn right pec and fight with that shit. And your opponent should jab the shit out of it. And until you get the fucking point, don't quit. Whatever you do, don't quit. I know I ain't in the ring, but goddamn it, you're gonna come in here and talk shit, and you have all these people praising you as being the best heavyweight. And you've been showing the tendencies of quitting now. He's been showing the tendencies of quitting. But it just happened to a point where there was no return. He was over here in the U.S. He felt out of place. He was lost. The man was distressed. Nothing him and Eddie Hearns could do. And Andy Ruiz put the goddamn pause on his ass. But yeah, he's going to look like he don't understand English. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, it's no sé, amigo. No entiende, sí? No. How he don't understand what the ref talking about now? He put his hands up on the rope and spit his damn gum shield to the floor. And then the ref is talking to you, and he stops the fight, and you look around like, what is he talking about? I could have continued. That's why I had my hands up on the ropes. What credit I would give Tyson Fury after he got up from his long count was the fact that he walked to the left and came back to Jack Reese. You know what I'm saying? He got up, he walked to the left, came back, followed instructions, and then continued to fight and did fairly good in the round. I have to give him his credit for that, people. Hey, man, let her out. Vasquez said, I watched Spanish TV, and Rui's dad said he was a careless, undisciplined man that would never show up to train. Okay. I mean, there's been some people, you know, that's been saying that about Andy Ruiz, but I was just disappointed. Like, I can't fathom, right? If I just picked up the titles, if it's all about money, that Vasquez, this is the way I look at it. If I just won the unified titles, and in a lot of ways shocked the world. Okay, he did. He shocked the world a little bit by defeating Anthony Joshua. So therefore, I'm looking at paychecks. So my mentality was to go back to the gym to come back because I know I got a rematch. I would try to stay in best shape possible because the money that I just received isn't enough money for me to stop the sport of boxing. My answer would be no. So I'm hitting the gym, getting back into the grind, go in there and defeat Joshua a second time. Now I'm fighting for the unified titles. Now I get the biggest payday. I get my third biggest payday of my entire career. That would be my mindset. I'm getting my third biggest payday of my entire career. That would be enough money for me to now lose my mind, get a little fat and sloppy, take a little time out of boxing. If he would have hit 3 continuous camps, he took the first fight on last minute with Anthony Joshua. Now he has a full fight camp to train for Anthony Joshua. He should have came back in much more fine-tuned, then beat him again. Now his stock is through the roof, not only from the American fans, but from the Mexican fans. The Mexican fans would have glorified Andy Ruiz if he would have defeated Joshua again. Glorified him like a god, man. They would have glorified Andy Ruiz. So now Andy Ruiz is set up for another title, potentially a unification bout. Could you imagine Andy Ruiz stepping in there with the winner? Just say it was, now that we know the contract said for a rematch between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So just say, for instance, him facing either of these two after the trilogy. Millions of dollars. Millions, y'all. Andy Ruiz could have been filthy, filthy rich. He could have went down. You good? You good? I'm on the live. I'm on the live, girl. You understand? He could have went down in history and glorified by the Mexican fan base, which are very dedicated boxing fans, just like the Filipino fans. He could have went down, man, in history. AKU say Fury has taken Wilder's best shot, and he got back up. He did, but it was in the 12th round, though. But he did knock him down earlier. Fury is a different dude, man. He's a different dude. I still say Deontay Wilder is the hardest puncher in the sport of boxing. Still. Now, with power comes injuries. So we have to see how he looks when he comes back. Ohio Run Box said, could Joshua Clottey compete with the other super welterweights at 154? Sometimes when I look at Joshua Clottey, right? Don't take this around the wrong way, man. Sometimes he just remind me of Left Hook Lacey sometimes. Sometimes he remind me of Andre Berto when he fought Floyd Mayweather the last time. Like, I know Joshua has freaking talent. I know what I'm saying, but I'm like confused as to why he cannot challenge himself to push past and be great. You know what I'm saying? I just get that from him when I used to watch him fight. Like, I used to root for him, but it was depending on who he was in there with. I'll say, you know what? He's not going to be. He's gonna start degrading at this point in the fight right here. I couldn't just say, okay, Joshua Clottey, this is gonna be a tough fight for his opponent. He's gonna smash their ass. If he was in there with a top contender, I had to kind of like be hesitant on giving him the full accolade. I don't know, man, Hey, what Joshua Clottey from, Ohio? Where he from? Is he around your way, man? Is Joshua Clottey up there in Ohio on the grid? AKU said, how many punches did he throw? I forgot, man. When you talking about who you talking about? You talking about Tyson Fury? Who are you talking about? How many punches did who throw? Man, shout out to Silky Wilkie in the building, man. Salute to you. Thanks for dropping through, man. He says Ghana. Salute to you, man. Hey, what you think about that Adonis Stevenson article that came out about Simone Gard, his ex-wife, his ex-girl or whatever? I don't know if you know anything about that, Silky, but if you do, let me know. Hey, Jorge Vasquez, thanks for the donation, my brother. I appreciate it. Real talk. Salute to you. Thanks for supporting the channel. Clotty versus Pac win. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Clotty, he just wasn't really one of my favorite fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to root for some of the fighters. Like, at one point in time, I wanted the root for Jeff Left Hook Lacey too, but I knew his cardio was bad. But only thing I can do is hope that he get the fight finished ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? That's how I saw him when he went into a fight. Like, he was extremely outside of my aesthetics and what I look for a fighter to be able to gas for the entire freaking 10 rounds or 8 rounds or whatever. I always knew there was going to be a point in time where Jeff Lacey started to hit the fumes, hit the reserves, and the reserves is like a shot of Nas. That shit's good for a little bit, and then that shit gone, you in trouble. And that's what I got from Jeff Lacey. Good dude, man. But you know, that's what I get for some of these fighters. Not so much this day and time. We really don't have a lot of bulked up fighters this day and time, especially in those weight classes. We just don't have them. You don't see them as much at all. You don't see them. Okay. He's not from Ohio. All right. Yeah, Silky, I did I did a live on it, I believe, yesterday. And you know, long story short is when he was in a coma, she asked to be in charge of his estate. And when he started to come to or whatever, of course, his family and everybody was able to talk to him a little bit better. He was probably a little bit incoherent, but come to find out, $891,000 was gone from his account, and people were saying that he kicked his ex and their kid together out. But what he's saying is basically they left his ex Simone left without a forwarding address, without any type of address to locate her or anything. So that's what really happened. That's what he's saying, Adonis. He said he didn't kick him out, but his account was missing $891,000, which is close to $1 million. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of goddamn money to be taken out the bank when your other half is in a coma in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how long Adonis Stevenson was in a coma? Like, he had that fight in what, December, right? Something like that. When was that? I mean, how long he was in a coma before he came out? But for her to take out that amount of money, but then she put out a letter talking about, I want you to get back in therapy. Your family has been successful in taking us away from you. We want to be back in your life. We love you. Somebody really got with her and wrote a letter so she can be as sensitive as possible. So it can be so sensitive to the point where it's almost like it's a murder mystery. You know, it's almost so underlining, sneaky, malicious, conniving, vindictive. But for her to say, whenever, hey, come back over here and let me take care of you, my love. Come on, man. Could you imagine Donna Stevenson going back in her care and turning on his family? And then she go up here and take that man's life and say, you know what, he tried to threaten me. He was never the same since the coma. So I had to put a bullet in him. Can you imagine how that will play out in court? Him not being the same fighter since his recovery. He tried to attack her. All that shit together for her to say, oh, my self-defense was justified. He came lunging at me. He was a world champion. I didn't know what to do. I was afraid for my life. We heard that before, right? I was afraid for my life. Boom, dead. Man, don't do it, Stevenson. If your family's around you, stay with your family, man. AKU say they already fought. Remember, for 12 rounds, Cody threw like 2 punches. That's probably why I don't remember it. I'm not saying I ain't seen the fight, but Joshua Clottey, I don't really pay a lot of attention to his fights. I just know at one point in time he was a highly touted, rising prospect in the game. I haven't really paid too much. He didn't interest me a lot. I'm gonna be honest. He just didn't interest me, man. Josh Talk UFC, man. Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, man. Thanks for he said loving the suit. Appreciate it, man. I had to show respect, man. Real talk. Even though I'm 50 years old, I had to show respect, because a lot of people get on here and say, fuck this, fuck that. But at the end of the day, I have a military background. I don't have a problem with showing people respect and say thank you for what you did. And when I tell you, when I had the opportunity to cover Teofimo Lopez on this card right here, with this credential, the tier of David McWater that he's on, to eat lunch with him twice, and him being the most down-to-earth guy you can meet. Down-to-earth guy, Lee Gladden, shout out to him. He the one hooked up everything. Me, him, David had lunch. The whole goddamn fight week was what it's supposed to be. It was a dream for media to have in that format. When you're talking about going up there, I'm driving 12 I'm driving 12 hours, y'all. That was the second time second time I was up there in Texas. I'm driving 12 hours, and basically I was able to do just about everything I wanted to do in a media sense. It was the best media day I ever had while covering the sport of boxing. And that was more so due to the fact of how the entire process worked out with Lee and David McWater. He was able to get me a press pass, no freaking prior credential, none of that shit. He got the shit done for me. He said he was going to do it. He did it. He didn't know me from anybody else. Definitely, I had to show him respect. I had to be professional about it, because he himself is a successful businessman. He is one of the individuals that's a prominent figure in boxing. He basically has over 50 fighters under his charge. And, I have nothing but respect for what he was able to do for me on that fight week. Unfortunately, I haven't able to have that, happen again, because the media shit is a grind. But I'm not talking about just with Top Rank. I'm just talking about in general with boxing. That was the smoothest media week I've ever had. Like, I was actually back there covering Teofimo Lopez. I actually followed him out from the entry all the way out to the ring, was able to video. I just wish every media could be that way with the big fights. That should be great. That should be great, man. But definitely shout out to David McWater, man. For real. Shout out. For real. Salute. Appreciate that. Josh Talk UFC. This is boxing show today. But did you see Tony Ferguson made weight for the council event? What a guy. Yeah, I seen him weigh in. I sure did. I absolutely did, man. And you know, that's the mindset he has. Seriously. Hey, shout out to Denise Ward for the donation. I appreciate it, my sister. Real talk. Thank you very much. Salute to you. Hope everything is good. Everyone who's donated today, man. Denise Ward, shout out to you. Thank you for donating, especially during the COVID-19. You know what I'm saying? This is a tough time. I know people got their stimulus. They feeling a little bit of relief. I appreciate it. Truly. From one veteran to another, outstanding show. For sure, real talk. I know you're an Army vet, whoa, you know, soldier in the building. So, you know, once again, as much as I don't like to say this, thank you for your service. You know, I just think it's kind of cliche, but I appreciate you serving your country as I did. We both was able to make it up out of there pretty good. So, yeah, you know, your time is valuable. So thank you. You know, it's just something that's still pinching me, man. BT at Fort Jackson. Okay. All right. Right. I went to Fort Jackson one time, man. One time. But you know, where I really got acclimated with Army personnel is when I was stationed in DC, man. I used to go to Fort Myers all the time up the street from the Pentagon. I had to courier top secret messages. So in communications, I had to go back and forth to some military bases back and forth. Man, I did a lot before I was 20 years old, man. I look back on that shit. I was like, damn, I can't believe I was in that, seeing General Powell all the time, man, seeing all these politicians at the Pentagon. Yeah, man, seeing all the top Army officials. I mean, it was crazy, man. Like, I just didn't know how special I had it. Seriously. But Fort Myers, man, goddamn, I had some good times at Fort Myers. They had one, oh man, that was some good times. I'll just keep it at that. Silky Wookie said the WBC should take the belt back from her then. You know, the way it's been going, Silky, I'm not even sure she has that belt, man. You know, like, unless she was able to get up out of it. His family moved into the house. So unless she fled before they actually took over the compound, she may not have it. I don't know, man. If she was staying with him and then the family took over and then she fled, you know, I'm from the outside looking in. I don't know if she had the belt with her. But what I do know is his family is on deck right now. That's who's taking care of him right now. And another thing that I failed to mention, she put in there, like, how can you go back to the to woman that is your mother, but she abandoned you as a kid and everything else? That's what I'm saying, the manipulation. That's why Adonis Stevens saying she's a great manipulator. So if you look at how she's saying how much love and come back so I can take care of you, so I can put you back in therapy. You know what I see in that case? I see a woman that'll probably make sure he is induced with drugs and medication. So he's unable to basically comprehend simple things. So he won't be able to function as he used to, when, you know, that may impede his progress of recovery. You know what I'm saying? So instead of him recovering and getting back to being quick, you know, with the responses and everything, if she just keeps him drugged up all the time, keep him away from the public and his family. That's what I kind of get from her letter, to be honest. It's very vindictive. It seems so spiteful, man. You know, it seems, you know, like she's been a malefactor, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's being an evildoer, but yet she's trying to word it in a way that it sounds like she's being so nice and genuine, almost like a witch. You know, in Spanish, a la bruja. But I'm pretty sure they'll work it out. Because family ain't always the best. I ain't gonna lie. Family ain't always the best. She's another Robin. Yeah, I think Robin Givens was worse, bro. I think Robin Givens was worse, bro. Because, I don't like goddamn talking about Tyson shit. But Robin Givens walked in there with a big ass motherfucking exclamation mark on her head when she brought her mother with her. Whenever a woman brings her mom with her and her mom is single, that's a team. That's a team, shawty. That is a team, y'all. Robin Givens brought her teammate with her. They had a freaking plan. For any woman to bring their mother into a house, and she's very functional, she's witty, she's not too old, she ain't walking slow. You bring your mom into the house, that's teamwork. And back then, man, I'm not the one to get into what Mike Tyson was thinking. Mike Tyson was a whole different animal. But I can tell you this right here: the mood, the vibes, everything that we say this time, no cap. After we got off that interview when she was up there saying all that shit about me, you know what I'm saying? Criticizing me in front of millions of viewers, her ass would have been gone. It ain't no let's go to the bedroom and let's reenact, if this the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and it's Will Smith and Robin Givens before she actually made it. And let's do the kissing scene and make up. No, you just belittle me in front of millions, telling motherfuckers our business. Now you need to get out. Seriously, you need to get out. It's just bad, man. Robin Givens, man, what is she doing right now? She's probably still living off that ticket. Y'all tell me, what Robin Givens doing right now? I ain't gonna lie, Robin Givens, she's attractive in her own way, but I wouldn't goddamn nah, hell no. Nah. That's like me thinking about, pulling up on Amber Rose and thinking she's gonna be that non-bossy individual. She's gonna be a sweet person to have a relationship with. Yeah, that shit ain't popping, shawty. That ain't popping. Hell to the no. To the no. But hey, people, it's been a pleasure, shawty. For those of you that dropped in, I'm gonna get off. I have, me being a single parent and everything, I have to take care of my parental duties and make sure. Hey, can you come in for a second, man? And see what the little man wants to eat. Well, he ain't there. He's going on 15. Shit. But I have to be the cook and everything else because this cat ain't trying to learn how to cook. I tell him, you went over a woman's heart, man. You learn how to cook. You found out what you eat, what you want, man? Okay, cool. All right. If that's what you want, all right, cool. That's what's up. That was easy. That's less work for me. Silky says Santa Claus don't change. Always the same ho 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 everything. Hey man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I have to say it like this: when you're in a relationship, when you're married, man, you try to do the best you possibly can. And if that don't work out, man, you just got to cut your losses. And sometimes cutting your losses, man, it can be like sawing through a motherfucking anchor with a goddamn butter knife. You're like, shit, how much money do I owe? How long I got left to pay this? Seriously, you can do so much, man. And when it comes down to it, it's just like trying to saw through an anchor for that shit to be released. For you to even move freely. Unfortunately, that's the way it works for the men sometimes. Without me getting into it, sometimes work like that, man. We can do anything and everything, but when it comes down to that separation, man, that shit is crucial. Let me see something else before I roll up out. But yeah, man, everyone who donated, Denise Wards, Ohio Run Boxing, and Jose Vasquez, man, I appreciate y'all donating to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Jorge Vasquez, Jorge or George Vasquez, appreciate it. I'm looking at another article over here. Teofimo, see, you know, the boxers are speaking to certain media outlets. You know, I have no problem writing an article on a fighter if I would just have some communication with them. But Teofimo Lopez say Ryan Garcia hasn't impressed me. He's Oscar De La Hoya without the skills. Oh my God. God damn, shots fired. Shots fired. Teofimo Lopez said Ryan Garcia is Oscar De La Hoya without the skills. God damn. I had to give him a 10 on that. I have to give Teo a 10 on that. Seriously. What he just said about Ryan Garcia is, I ain't saying the man don't have skills, but when you're doing drills and you're standing straight up and you're not bending the knee, it looks good on reactions bag. It looked good on the mitts. I get it. But what happens when you have a fighter that can slip your punches? What happens when you have a fighter that can keep proper distance and you're not able to counter them? And when they do come in, they have a different type of offensive strategy instead of coming directly into the pocket where you can hit them with a counter left hand, as you did Fonseca. Everybody's not going to fight like that. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia is going to have to understand he's not going to be able to stand straight up and posture like that as if he's making videos. He's going to have to learn how to box. He's going to have to learn what it's going to be like to fight off the ropes, to bend his knees a little bit, you know, generate the power from his legs. All that speed, standing straight up. Hey, man, it's only good. But when you run into that boxer who know how to close distance, like a lot of people was talking about how Tyson Fury performed in the rematch against Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury continued to close the distance, close the distance, close the distance. What happened when you get individuals close the distance, like Iran Barkley did to James Toney? Are you going to get a James Toney, one of the best magicians on the inside? You're not going to get that from Ryan Garcia because he don't have that skill. He don't have the know-how to fight like that on the inside. He don't know how to do that shit. So somebody need to be teaching him how to get grimy and fight on the inside. Else he's going to have problems, man. That's all I'm saying. I haven't seen Ryan Garcia fight on the inside at all. Now, some of the knockouts he got, you know, I'm really not sitting up here clapping it up like that's something astounding until he faces somebody like Devin Haney, Gervonta. He's been calling out Gervonta Davis. I'm really curious to see if that fight will ever take place. Can Ryan Garcia go in there and shock the world? If Ryan Garcia goes in there against Gervonta Davis and goes 12 rounds, I'd be shocked. Seriously. If Gervonta Davis gives Ryan Garcia the same beating that he was giving Gamboa early in the fight, I don't think he can handle it. I'm just being honest with you. I truly don't think Ryan Garcia chin is built like that. I don't see it. Ryan Garcia is not Yorkis Gamboa. But he may prove us wrong, man. He might be a different type of dude. He might be growing into his man strength and we don't know it. You know, just like we saw Shakur Stevenson grow into his man strength. Shakur Stevenson is a different animal, man. I'd definitely like to see Shakur Stevenson move up sometime soon and put his name in the hat. The 135-pound division, man. If Shakur, I don't think we're going to see Shakur Stevenson even move up to that weight class anytime soon. But Sooner or later, some of them fighters might hang around long enough, and Shakur might be a 2-division champion already, for him to move up there to 135 and face some top names. But people, I got to go take off the suit. It's been a pleasure as always. We definitely going to do this again. Josh talks UFC. Definitely, I would have liked to talk some mixed martial arts today. And yeah, I saw freaking Tony Ferg, man. But we will catch up on that. I was able to talk to someone from the UFC, but I'm not going to talk about it on this live. I got some damn good information about some shit that's going on with Dana White and the whole entire situation with him and this island and what he's waiting on to put on that fight card next month. Seriously. Behind the scenes shit, secret squirrel type shit. And yeah, it's pretty interesting too. So y'all stand by, man. Continue to support World Combat Sports. Once again, all the individuals, Denise Ward, Jorge Vasquez, Ohio Run Boxing, man. I appreciate the donations. Be sure to pass the word, man. Subscribe to the channel. And we will do this again. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.